Hello and welcome to
Not too bad,
episode
Freddie, man.
114 of Celtic Rumours TV, the Bawz and Bovril podcast with your host Mark and myself, Paul. You can check out all the links to the podcast, including our forum page www.celticrumours.co.uk in the description below. Hopefully, Terence, if he's on the live chat, might be joining us tonight, but we'll play that by ear. On tonight's show, we look at today's match reaction to the victory against Dundee United. We look at the strength and depth within the squad. We'll also do a look ahead to Livingston at home on Wednesday night, and we'll finish this over with a transfer roundup. Is there anything else Celtic expect to do in the closing days of the window? Firstly, though, I'll hand off to Mark for a few shout-outs.
Thanks very much, Paul. Big shout out to Brian here. He's the only boy in the live chat that's talking anyway. Some shouts outs to the guys on the forum, Tim Alloy, Richie and his family, a Glasgow Green, Barry. I spoke to Barry during the week. He's a bit busy and that stuff. And Alec, a shout out. Alec listens to the podcast on his long haul driving jobs, and that's a big shout out to Alec. We're up to 651 subs, I think it is, Paul.
Oh.
It's slowly but surely climbing up. If you've not subscribed, please do so. If you're listening back, it's going to please. If you're listening on like Spotify or that, the links to everything's in the Discord, but in the description box below are linked. Please get everything on it: Spotify, Discord, etc. But if you do listen to us anywhere else, please go to the YouTube channel and hit us a subscribe on that, because that's the one that kind of helps it grow and stuff like that. That's about me, I think, Paul, with shout-outs and that.
Yep. So Celtic travelled to Tannadice to take on Dundee United. The final score, Dundee United 0, Celtic 2. Andrew start the lineup: Hart, Johnson, Vickers, Starfelt, Taylor, McGregor, Hayate, Moy, Abada, Yata and Kyogo. The subs: Bain, Haksabanovic, Turnbull, Kyogo, Kobayashi, O'Reilly. We have after Iwasa, O, and me. That I didn't even realise what O was. Did I spelled it?
That's
That's where I got mixed up. Like, it's like, what's OH? I was like, O'Reilly or Yase. Goals from Yase and Moy from the penalty spots. The stats for the game was possession 27 to Dundee United, 73 to Celtic. Their shots 4 to all 18. Shots on target 2 to all 6. Corners 1-3. Fouls 7 to all 12. First thing, Mark, just talk about the game. The first half's a bit sluggish at the start, but again, the Celtic seemed to get into the rhythm, didn't they?
I thought Dundee United were really poor, but Paul, I don't think they didn't turn up the day to play football. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I know it was they keep saying playing with 3 at the back, but that was 5 at the back. You were playing with the day. Do you know what I mean? So,
It wasn't 3 at the back at all. No.
No. So it was a bit scrappy at first, but there was never really any doubt. I don't think that Celtic would get a goal and would go on to win it, but we played well, I thought. Do you know what I mean? And we could have done with an earlier goal. It seems to be the same old, Paul. If we don't get an early goal, we kind of no struggle, but we lost our rhythm a wee bit. And obviously we're going to have to talk about VAR once again in a wee minute, but I thought Celtic played well. We could have scored more goals. We should have scored more goals. I thought Kyogo, I think the one right at the start with Kyogo, I think that was a really poor effort for Kyogo. He could have done a lot better with that. Maybe it was just because it was so early in the game. I don't know. I think he could have done a lot better than that. But
no, Mark, like, think about Kyogo, like, you know, it's fair enough he's top scorer in the league, but it more supposed to be, he needs about 4 chances before he gets one.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you said, Mark, top strikers only need 1 chance and they punish her. Do you know what I mean? But Kyogo doesn't do that enough, does he?
No. He's just not clinical enough. There, Mikey's saying it as well. Dundee we're honking. Aye.
Mark, they're going to slug it because they're down the bottom of the league. Like, they want these points, but you know, be honest. Like, he was at the game today, so he probably won't be on. But as a Dundee United fan, and you're playing 11 men at home, Mark, you wouldn't be a bit pissed off like you didn't have a goal. You know what I mean?
Aye. I would think that anyway, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
I really would. I don't think there's any excuses.
I wanted to lose having a goal rather than lose having 11 men mark at the ball. Do you know what I mean? Like, ditch two shots target, but are they troubling Celtic those shots, Mark? Not really, like, you know.
If they maybe get one eye in the goal difference if it comes down to it in the relegation battle, maybe.
Mm-hmm. You know,
But
you know,
I don't. As you said there, Paul, if you're a Dundee United fan, you're not happy. You can't be happy with that performance today. Just
Mm-hmm.
not the performance as such, but the approach to it for your management team.
Mm-hmm. Looking at them today, Mark, can you understand why they're down in the relegation battle, maybe?
They're playing like that every week, Paul.
Mm-hmm. You know,
I mean,
like, Thatcher's not going to get you goals, though, Mark, is he? Do you know to keep you up? They've never kind of seen that striker, Mark, that's always getting 10, 15 goals. Like, I see Fletcher now as a player just holding up the ball, having players trying to play around him.
Aye. I just like, it's as if they say, I've said it before, I've spoke to Mikey on the phone about that, Paul. See a lot of the teams in Scotland, they seem to just like sign players that are available. There's no actual kind of thinking towards them signing who, it's not a case of, oh, I need this type of player. It's a kind of case of they look and say, oh, who's available that I can shoehorn into my team?
And I'm surprised at Dundee United, Mark, because when we had Jonas on there last season, and he was telling us about the structure they had. Do you know what I mean? Like, they bring in these young players, they progress on and thing. And as you said, they're going out then buying kind of has-beens. Do you know?
That can take a wee while to come to fruition in that, Paul. Do you know what I mean? When you're setting up at like your academy to produce players and that, but they brought in a young boy who was only 16 or something today, didn't they?
I think he could be. Hopefully, Mark, he's a career ahead of him because he looked like a runner anyway to me. And you know, he looked like a player that could do a job for them, like, you know, because I think they need young blood in that team, like, you know.
Aye.
You know,
I think personally, Paul, I think I kind of got out of players and kind of got start letting. You've got to. I mean, it's like I've said it before, Paul. You've got to give managers in that a bit of time. Do you know what I mean? There's no point in bringing a guy in and then like. I mean, let's face it, right? See the Darvel thing with Aberdeen, right? That was cut.
Breaking news there tonight, actually, Mark, about Aberdeen. Neil Lennon's gone into the end of the season, I heard.
Is it actually in? Aye.
I don't know if it's actually true or it's up on Twitter on the Aberdeen website. So I don't know if it's an actual official Aberdeen thing, like, you know. I think you have
just to the end of the season.
Till the end of the season, yeah. Yeah, interim manager.
A big jabber there, even a jabber bud. I'm not really surprised at that, to be honest. And maybe that's the type of thing that these like Aberdeen's needing. Because I mean, there's no doubt, Paul, Aberdeen should be the third biggest club in Scotland. There should be there's no even any arguing about that between Hearts and Hibs, really. There really isn't. Aberdeen, it's a city, Paul, and it's the only team in the city. They've got all the money for the oil stuff and all that's up there and that. See, when Rangers were in the lower leagues, Aberdeen should have established themselves a lot better than they have. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know if that's going to be like up with Lennon will clear the decks maybe, but I don't think he's answer to that long term either. Yeah, hi Bestie, nice to see you, bud. Joseph, nice to see you in as well, mate. Joseph Agnew.
Yeah, interim manager, Mark, till the end of the season. But do you know what then, Mark? Like, if you're intern, there's always kind of a disadvantage as well. The players know you're probably not going to be there next season. Do you get me? You know, are you going to be left do what you want there as an interim manager, rather than, you know, it's always kind of a risk, like, you know.
Well, I mean, I don't imagine. Well, I'm saying that I don't imagine they're going to be signing anybody in the next couple of days.
No, they're supposed to be after a goalkeeper, right? I heard today, right? You know?
But so it's not as if like Lenny's got time to go like try and bring some players in, even in loan or that.
Like how bad it went for Jim Goodwin at Aberdeen, considering how good he was at St. Mirren. You know, really, I thought he'd have do great things there with Aberdeen, but no, it just didn't work for him after this. You know, sacked him straight after the game, and then he walking out of the stadium as a sacked manager, Mark. Jesus.
But I mean, he's a bit bit of an egomaniac, Paul, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He's got probably even goes for to see ideas above his station.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that if you ask them about Jim Goodwin, they've not really got much very nice things to really say about him, kind of thing. He's actual, like the way he treats people basically. Do you know what I mean? So I think maybe that's going to be a problem within his career, because there was definitely something went absolutely
Mark, yeah,
catastrophically wrong at Aberdeen.
You don't see Aberdeen getting beaten.
I say to Mikey,
6-0 by Hibs team, Mark, do you?
I say to Mikey, see if at Mikey's charity game last year, we could have picked a team off that park that would have beat that Darvel. Do you know what I mean? That's the kind of level they're at, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And to beat a Premier League team, for me, that's the biggest upset in Scottish football ever. Really is. Can he even for the kind of levels, the divisions that are between the two teams, the money and everything. And any player, Aberdeen player that was playing that game, should be absolutely embarrassed about that for the rest of their life.
Exactly. It's not as if Mark Hibbonian or team informed themselves. They're struggling as well lately.
Aye.
You know what I mean? And for them, like, to freaking hammer Aberdeen 6-0 is just beat to them.
It's just really, Paul. It's just consistency with these teams that are chasing us. See, like as I said, if Aberdeen could find some consistency, they would be able to. I realistically and honestly believe that they would be capable of challenging Rangers for second place.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. There's no reason that they shouldn't be. Do you know? Just even because, I mean, they're garbage. I still can't believe he didn't beat them in that last game, Paul. I mean, look at Rangers were playing Aberdeen the other week. Do you know what I mean?
Need the extra time,
and then they go and lose to Darvel and then go and get pumped 6-0 off the Hibs.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they nearly beat them the other week. So I mean, it's just a kind of consistency that these teams need, because there's too many teams, Paul, and it's like Aberdeen will maybe right. Well, their Hibs haven't beat Aberdeen 6-0. I don't know who they're playing next week. They'll maybe beat whoever that is, but then the next time they'll lose to somebody that they don't.
That's just me. I just have to open the knee brace there. Sorry. Fucking hell, 2 times.
They'll win a couple of games, and then they'll lose a silly game. Do you know what I mean? They'll lose a silly game.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that's what's wrong with it. There's no, these teams below us aren't building up any kind of consistency.
But it was like you said, Mark, like on the last podcast I did with you there during the week, we said not only did Rangers not progress into 10 years, but the teams around them didn't either when Rangers weren't in that league. Do you know, when Rangers were down in the 34th tier and all those 4 years they were away, like that was a chance for Aberdeen in that then, like to grab the money and as
exactly
spend it wisely, do you know what I mean? But they didn't spend it wisely, they never really invested in their squads, did you?
Well, imagine even like they were talking about even like their youth set up or that, even investing in that, Paul, the amount of time that Rangers were doing in the lower leagues, they'd have had some of the youngsters coming through. You're talking 44 or 4, do you know what I mean? And then in the years that Rangers on they're claiming second place every year. Well, Europe, I mean, that's one of the biggest embarrassments as well. And to every time all these teams get into Europe, they've never, I mean, they get to Irish teams, they get to separate teams and stuff like that. Paul, Brian asking Paul if you're waxing your legs.
I know, yeah, I'm not.
But I mean, it's as if they're scared to go and actually grab the bull by the horns and try and make something of themselves. As if they're, we better know in case we upset the apple cart.
Exactly. Back to our game, the goal from Yotta. I mean, how he got that in, Mark? That header.
Aye.
From that angle, like, was it? I don't know what kind of cross it was really, but Jesus, Mark, there was some cross there from wasn't it? He took the keeper and the defence out of the game the way that cross came in. Like, Mark, for some of us, like, who had our doubts, we were going, like, why did we sign him? He's proven it's all wrong, isn't he?
Aye. He's definitely stepped up to the plate while O'Reilly's off the boil anyway. But it was some crossing the angle for the header was a different class. I thought you ought to terrorised him the day.
I thought Yota was brilliant, Mark, today,
Aye.
yeah. In terms of the flicks he was doing, the running he was doing, he was, like we should have been, was the Kyogo instant before that, Mark, the Yota goal, or after it? It's before, wasn't it?
The Kyogo one was before that, aye.
Mm-hmm. What's your
No,
thoughts on that?
the penalty one. No, that was after the goal, wasn't it?
After first, it was Robson gave it, and then Ver called it, and then said you got to look at it that they had their doubts about it. What's your thoughts on that penalty, Mark?
I think it was a penalty. I really do. And again, Paul, I keep going back to why is there this wait for the ref to go and look at the VAR screen? If there's a VAR call, see, as soon as VAR's getting involved, the ref should be going out of the screen. It's just wasting time. It's just constant. It's just wasting time and making us look even more stupid with the system that we seem to be using VAR way.
Yeah. Like my thoughts is, Mark, like the keeper's hand is on top of Kyogo for him to get leverage. Do you know what I mean?
He hit him with one hand and then hit the ball with the other one.
Yeah, exactly.
But see, as well, Paul, I'd need to look at it back, but we know if it's a shout for handball for that as well. When the keeper's put the ball, it's hit off a Dundee United player's there. I think it has for one of the angles. It looks as if it has one of them. I'm not sure if it's his chest or no.
And even the Moy penalty, Mark. Like, why wasn't that player given a second?
Aye, that's another thing as well. I know
it was a clear intent to hand the ball. Like, if it's clear intent, that's a yellow card. So that should be a red card as well. Is it bad referee, Mark, or is it just consistency? I actually don't know what to make with anymore, to be honest.
I'm the same, Paul. I mean, I was never one that bought into the big conspiracy stuff and all that, but I always believe if you're a Rangers supporter or a Celtic supporter or whatever, you subconsciously favour them. Whether you do you know what I mean? Whether you're intentionally cheating or no, subconsciously you'll maybe see something that you should see. Just your mind, do you know what I mean? It's in your body that's as a team you support. So I never kind of really bought into it to that extent, but this VAR's making me really wonder about it. It really is. It's just.
But then, like, if we're talking about consistency, like you see Willie Cullum then yesterday, Mark, 2 identical tackles, Ryan Jack and Ting, and there's no red card in for Jack.
I know.
That
was a scandalous tackle. That was scandalous.
You know that those
Hail, Welshie bud. Nice to see you in, mate.
They're leg breakers, like, you know, and then it's no red card in for Jack, like, so. I honestly think.
And you can go back, Paul. See these people that kind of have been on about this always, right? And this is becoming more and more true as well, Paul. Say to yourself, would that have gave against? Do you get what I mean? See if that had been a St Johnstone player tackling Jack like that.
Red card.
Aye, exactly.
But my problem is now, Mark, with Willie Coleman. This was I was thinking the last couple of days. Do you remember when Stephen Gerrard was there? They wrote this letter, 8-point thing, complaining about Willie Cullen reffing their games. And he never got a referee a Rangers game again that season, and for a long time. And since he's got him, he's inclined to give any decisions, really, against Rangers. I think, in fair, that he won't get a Rangers game again.
It might be.
You know, it might be. That's what I'm thinking, Mark, you know, because he got the last derby, and he wasn't inclined to give any decisions against Rangers in the last derby either. And I'm thinking this is why he's not giving those decisions against them, because he won't get the big games. You know?
I mean, their Sky took that on the day, Paul, for a big kind of showpiece game, because it was the English team and that. What do you think English fans sitting watching that were thinking of that today?
I don't know, Mark.
Just in general, Paul. Even the actual farce of the penalty. We'll stand here for 3 minutes, just standing about waiting, and then decide to go and look at a screen.
You do not waiting that long down in the south, like, do you know what I mean? For that, unless it's a really, really serious tackle, Mark, that they need to populate. But decisions like that, they're not, like, you know what I mean? And
I think he should just get shot at.
you know,
I think he should just do away with it.
it's actually has brought
It's
no
a
benefits to the
hindrance.
game.
It's a hindrance rather than helping the game, Paul. Unless they're going to change the way that it's run, they'd be as well just getting shot at right away.
Well,
And do you
what
know
you
that?
said,
Do you know
Mark,
that? Do you know
the
that
last time,
Celtic? It's the clubs that pay for that. And
Mhm.
Celtic pay the most money out of every club in Scotland towards VAR. And it's just
22,000, I think, was it, Mark?
and it's just bitching as every turn. I mean, you seen even Angie's face at that penalty.
Yeah,
He just
yeah.
smiled and shook his head to say as if I wasn't really expecting to get that in. I mean, it's that complete farce. So it is. There's
You know,
no-
you can see right now, Mark, that Ange is actually really getting pissed off with these decisions going against us. You can see it's getting to him, like, you know what I mean? You know,
Aye,
after what
aye.
you said there when the camera went down to him, like, you know, you can see it's really, really getting to him. You know,
It's just Paul. It's so, and as we keep saying, we talk about it every week. It's no sour grapes. Do you know what I mean? Because even like the one last week, we shouldn't have got that penalty. So that even that, that's what Celtic should be doing. No Celtic, just clubs. The clubs themselves should be saying. But Celtic should be saying, right, what we not happy with Varvel. In the interest of fairness, we'll go to say we didn't think that was a penalty for us. Do you get what I mean? In this, that would put them right in their back foot right away. If you're saying you gave us a penalty that we shouldn't have had, we'll take it, but we should by the laws of the game, that shouldn't have been a penalty. So again, you're not in there with sour grapes. You're just highlighting times that this just isn't doing the job that it's expected to do.
and of course there was my put it, but then there was a few changes. Mark came on to make his debut for he looks a bit of a unit, Mark, doesn't he? He looks like a player that gets stuck in. He's not afraid to get stuck in.
He's a big bit of a boy, isn't he?
I think the Celtic fans could have came up with a better song from down instead of singing that stupid thing from the darts. You know, how long did it take him to come up with that? In fairness, like of all the songs you could made up about in it, and he comes up with that, like Jesus Christ.
Give him time to have something better than that, I'm sure.
Jesus Christ, I'd want that. You know, but he does. I think Mark,
get Welsh on the case. Get a bottle of bucket in Welsh, and he'll come up with something better than that.
You know, I think Mark, he could be a big unit for us. Someone said in the live chat, I think it was Kev said, he even looks bigger than Gigi when Gigi was there, Gio. So he looks a bit of a unit, you know. But Mark, my problem here now is something that we had with G. Marcus, like, and think, you know, if turns out to be the striker that G. Marcus and he starts scoring goals, like, is he going to be playing second fiddle to Kyogo no matter what? Do you know what I mean?
I think so.
You know.
I think so.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it?
Your mic's a wee bit funny there, Paul. You there?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Aye. Your mic went a wee bit funny there.
Like,
I think you'll know that, but Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Know that. We'll know that. Do you know what I mean? He's not going to for now. Even he's going to be just kind of learning his kind of trade. Aye, learning his trade kind of thing. But it does, even see when you see stuff on YouTube, and I know that's easy to edit and that, but I think he could be a really good player for us.
Definitely.
It seems to have made. I mean, I've said I thought Big Gio was our best, like, out and out striker. I mean, how many first touch goals did he score when he first came in that? But I think this big boy, I think he's got a bit more to his game than Gio Kamakis.
Yeah, he seems like, what I could have been looking at him there, he seems like a lot of his goals can be outside the box as well. Like, you know, he's not afraid to take a shot, is he?
He seems to be that kind of player that will have a dig for quite outside area, quite deadly inside area.
What about the cross at the end of the game? Well, Jesus, it was a shot missed by me. That was so cross, like, you know, really, really was, like, was some cross. So 9 points clear, Mark. Like, I don't think it was ever in doubt today, Mark, after Celtic got the first goal, but it keeps the pressure on. And one thing I noticed today, Mark, was our strength in depth. With the bench there, our bench today looked very, very strong, didn't it?
Aye. I mean, apart from Bain, into really, it was quite frightening if you're an opposition player and you're seeing a bench like that.
I don't see this injury, Mark, must be actually worse than we actually thought. Since
he was meant to be back today, Paul. So it must maybe just was just not quite ready. But I don't think it's anything that serious.
You know, like you looking at it there, you have Bain, Haksabanovic, Turnbull, Kobayashi, Iwata, O'Reilly, Maeda. You could have brought any one of them on, they would have changed that game for you. Do you know what I mean? Like the rhythm keeps the same, Mark, doesn't it?
Aye.
You know, really, really does. Like
and the amount of subs you're allowed to make, that really helps Celtic as well. Because we have got that strong a squad.
Did you see after the 5 subs were made, Urasa and Kobayashi was still warming up?
Aye.
Down behind the goal. Jesus, they mustn't understand the rules of Scottish football or something, or they were waiting to clean up the dressing room or something like that.
But try to keep a bit of heat in themselves.
You know, I never realised actually how small Dundee United's pitch is. When we were taking the corners there and the players were kind of warming up, there's not much space there actually, Mark, between for taking the corners. There was when I noticed when I was taking the corners, it's a very, very small pitch, is it? Dundee United?
Just the stands are just like right next to right on top of you kind of thing. If you're a player, you're right next to the fans and that.
What did you think of Dundee United's pitch day actually, Mark? Better than ours, or?
Aye.
You know, really,
it wouldn't be hard, would it?
Well, I saw, where was it? There was some fella on Twitter, and he said Arsenal, Manchester United, Chelsea, Spurs. There's Leeds United. He said he named out a few teams, Mark, that have the same grass as Celtic, done by the same crowd that did Celtics. And he said if you looked at the difference in pitches over the weekend games compared to Celtic games, it's night and day. He was saying like, what in the name of God is going on with Celtic's pitch? You know, I don't know. It seems to be gone from day one, don't it? You know, never.
It's never really been right, isn't it? No, for get fit it. I mean, it was only a couple of months or weeks even after we got it fitted. Brendan Rodgers came out and said it was diseased. Whatever that means. It's no help Angie's style of play, Paul. So it's got to be something. I know they're meant to be trying to get it. I don't know how they're going to get it fixed in time for Wednesday's game, but that's what they were working on it. But it's got to be something they've got to seriously look at in the summer. I mean, can you mind as well? Was there no something? We only get half of it done or something. Was it no? We only get like the first part of it done. Do you know that I'm talking about it? We only get the first part of it done during the summer, and then did we do the second part or something maybe during the winter break? That came into my head there, Paul. So maybe we've made an arse at doing that. Do you know what I mean?
Doing it half and half, like.
Doing it in 2 stages.
Yeah, because it only looks kind of down by the Green Brigade side that it looks bad. The other side actually looks it's not too bad, really. Do you know what I mean?
Oh no, see up the other end, Paul. See where the subs.
That bad as well, is it?
Oh, see last week I seen it. I noticed it on the telly, Paul. It was just mud. It was just mud. It's definitely. I mean, it's the kind of thing, Paul, that managers like Angie and that look at. So it's something that Angie's come out and said it's no right. So I expect some work to get done serious work to get done on that during the summer to repair it or replace it or anything to improve it.
Is Terence coming on there, or is he?
I'll fire that line. Couldn't see if he's.
Seems he's on the live chat there.
He'll be a tired man after a dirty weekend. Yeah.
Oh my God! Jesus Christ!
I didn't think it would be him. It was Terence's wedding anniversary. And him and his missus were away for a weekend, so happy anniversary to Terence and Emma.
As Welchie says, Celtic come first. Huh? Jesus Christ! You know.
All right, there.
Terence, apology.
I could hear
Apologies
you
there if you were
slagging me there,
listening.
boys. Don't worry. I could hear you slagging me before I
I
came on.
wasn't slagging you at all. I was saying apologies. Jesus Christ.
It's a bit late now.
Good 3 points there, Terence, weren't this?
Yeah, it was great 3 points, Paul. Very good. I mean, we all expect Celtic to win at home. It's a way where you might worry. We're generally in the SPL, the top two. That's where they look like they might drop points if they're ever going to drop them bar against each other. And it's very, very. What I saw of it, I didn't see obviously all the game, boys, but I saw a good bit of it. I literally came in and the goal was scored. So, yeah, look, they were well on top. Dundee United, as I've seen, like Michael was saying in the post there, like they're not. Some of these teams at home, like, they are embarrassing because they're not even trying to play football against it. I know someone might argue the point that it's hard to do it, but you're at home. You should surely, try and muster something. I mean, the fans expect the Dundee United fans are guys going to work all week to pay for their season tickets, and they're turning around and having. Fans have been through the horrors this year as well. So they make it. Celtic are a very good side. They press very hard. They pass very well. They work really hard. But that you have to take. I don't say chances, but you have to be courageous in your decisions and say you have to kind of press Celtic as well. If you leave Celtic have the ball all day, they'll, like, Dundee United are lucky it was only 2.
Evening, Mick. Nice to see you in again, Mick. Nice to see you, bud.
It's like what Terence there, Mark. Like the scoreline really didn't reflect the game. Like, it could have been a lot more. The keeper made a few saves and we missed a few chances, but it really could have been another thumping for Dundee United today.
And it probably should have been, Paul. I mean, we made enough good chances that we should have got a couple more at least, but it's just, it's Terence says and Mikey says, it's horrible to try and it's horrible to watch when you're trying to break these teams down, because you think, well, we always say if we can get an early goal, they need to come at us. But I don't even think Dundee United would have done that today. They still
don't. They still don't, Mark. Neither they just don't. And it's like, I mean, for teams like that, like, there's no. Anyone trying to defend it is trying to defend the indefensible, because they just don't want to play. They just don't want to play, and it's awful to watch if you're watching a match, for starters, because in your heart to heart, as we have always said, and like you said there, Mark, get the early goal, and they'll have to try and come out and go for it. You nearly think some of these teams are going, well, if we lose 2-0 or 3-0, we'll accept it. We'll accept a 2-0 loss to Celtic. No one expects us to win anyway, but we don't want to get another 9-0 thumping or lose 5-0 or 6-0. They just feel like themselves, okay, we conceded 1, let's just keep shutting up shop, let's try and make it as awkward as possible, and if we concede 2, fair enough, and we're happy enough with a 2-0 defeat. That's the way it comes across at times.
I believe that, Terence. I do believe that. It's
like the question you asked there, the question you asked there a while ago when we were talking about VAR, you said, what would Down South think watching Celtic today being in the prime slot for TV? And so, flipping on the other side, what would Down South think, Mark, watching the standard of football by Dundee United against Celtic? You don't really see that, you don't really see the bottom teams, Mark, down in the Premier League, 11 men behind the ball. Like, they try to have a goal, do you get me?
Aye.
They try to get points off you, do you know what I mean?
I think that's probably that's just typical Scottish football, Paul.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not a great advert there, but Mick's saying there, people wonder why we can't get a good TV deal.
Yeah, it's that way, Mark, like, because if you're watching that, then you're watching any time a team plays Celtic, where on the telly it's 11 men behind the ball, bar 1 or 2 teams, and that's it, you know what I mean?
Aye.
But it's supply and demand, Paul. Mm-hmm. I mean, is Celtic and Dundee United in demand for take away your supporter of Celtic, but a general footballer, most of them wouldn't watch it. Whereas if you had, for argument's sake, Man United and West Ham, just because West Ham are near the bottom, Man United and West Ham, football guys who like their football would watch that 10 times quicker than they'd watch Celtic against Dundee United. Mm-hmm. Because everyone will tell you how bad they say the Scottish football is, the standard is, the play is. that's all you ever hear. You'd hear, Paul, from your buddies at work. I'd hear from my buddies at work that are whatever team they support, and I always get questions like, why do you support Celtic? Why do you support the Scottish team?
There's only 2 teams up there. There's only
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
there's only
you know
that.
what I mean. So it's very hard at times. Like either you or Mark just said there, when it comes to negotiating pay deals and or television rights and all that, it's very hard to say, oh, we have a top product, because you don't. They have two sides, Celtic Rangers, and the rest are just, the rest are without trying to be rude, they're nowhere like.
I mean, do you think, like, I mean, I don't watch much of the pub league at all, you know what I mean? But do you think, like, neutral fans, like down in England or that, would say, oh, they're what you're saying, Terence, but like, see if Man U's playing West Ham, there's neutral fans that will tune in to watch that.
Yeah.
Do you think there's neutral fans tuning into Celtic?
No.
Do you know what I mean? As in to the extent, I don't mean getting up and that it's a 12:30. I mean, if you're down in England and there's a game on at 12:30, you've got to stick it on. If it's a Celtic or Rangers game, you've just got to stick it on anyway if you're a football fan. But I can't imagine there's many saying, oh, they're Celtic. I mean, we're on at 12 o'clock next week. Do you know what I mean? Or they're Celtic on at 12 o'clock. I'll get up and get ready for that. And that's
what I'm saying. They don't have that draw, Mark. They don't have that draw. Neither of the two sides have that draw, Baron. You're a supporter of them, of Celtic or Rangers. You don't have the draw. Whereas as I said, I know lads at work that are football fans, United or whatever. But if Liverpool were playing Arsenal, for argument's sake, which is a big game, or Liverpool were playing again one of the smaller sides, they'd watch it.
Aye.
They wouldn't watch Celtic and Dundee United. Like, they'd be like, they might say, I watched 20 minutes of it. Man, it was rubbish, and that's all they'd say. That's the general consensus I always get from lads at work. They'd be like, man, they're brutal, or that crowd are brutal. And I had this discussion in work actually the other day. Fellas were saying to me, if Celtic and Rangers were in the Premier League, and they were all like, they wouldn't even be in the Premier League. They said they'd struggle in the Championship. This was the general chat at work I had with guys. They were saying they'd be struggling in the Championship, and I obviously disagreed with them. But my point to them was, if Celtic was in the Premier League, I said, how many of those Celtic players would actually be on the Celtic team?
Aye, exactly.
Because all of a sudden, I said, with the greatest respect, all of a sudden Celtic could have 150, 200 million to spend on players, not 30 million. I said it's the same way as a Brighton, the same way as Brentford, the same as all these other teams. If they didn't have all the money that they get from being in the Premier League, they wouldn't be able to buy these players for 10 million, 20 million, 15 million. I said, so majority of those Celtic players, I said, are one or two, wouldn't even be in the Celtic team if they were in the Premier League, I said.
We'd be in a brilliant position if we were in the Premier League, because you look at the size of the stadium, it's the second biggest bar Old Trafford in league fall. Do you know what I mean? And there's financial fair play and no revenue coming in there. Celtic would be able to attract men.
If we did get into that Premier League, Paul, we could finish off the stadium.
Exactly.
I don't want us to join. I've said that for years. I don't particularly want us to join. Like, you didn't move to England. But if there was going to be a kind of Super League thing across Europe, I'd fancy Celtic to get in. I'd want them to be part of that. I really would. We've got to keep ourselves involved at that kind of top level, Terence, whatever we can, kind of thing. So if there was anything like that, but for me, it's people going. It's like there's certain teams in the world that have a kind of romanticism about them. Celtic's one of them because of the history we've got, and it's like Man United. Man United's got a lot of love over the world simply because of the Munich disaster. But that was when Manchester United came like a world kind of known thing, and people had sympathy for them and started supporting them during those kind of times and that. And Celtic for me would be one of, if we were mixing it with the teams and getting the same money as them, Celtic would be more than capable of holding their own against any of the big teams in the world. I mean, I'm even saying your Real Madrids and your Barcelonas and teams like that. I'm totally no doubt about it.
But when you're looking at players, Mark, and you're going, if Celtic per se were in the Premier League or were in a big European league kind of style thing and it was big money, like players didn't move to Manchester City because it was Manchester City. No, players moved to Manchester City because they're getting paid 200,000 a week, and Manchester City can afford to pay 200,000 a week. And you'll see the same in probably the next 6, 7, 8 months where you'll have that in Newcastle.
Aye.
You know, and
they're going to be the next big hitter, the big destination.
What is going to happen with Newcastle, and this fellow was saying that if Newcastle get in to the Champions League next season, that's it. That's another Champions League spot gone in England. The reason because they'll have the money to spend out in Europe and the attraction of Champions League football that they'll be able to bring in a higher standard of player. Do you know what I mean?
Well, Paul, you're bringing any standard of player, Paul, a higher standard of player. One, if you're playing in Champions League, I agree with that. But once you can pay the money, like Robinho's a prime example of that. Robinho didn't know whether he thought he was signing for Man United, and it was Man City.
Mm-hmm.
That was the running joke, like.
Celtic podcast move on said, Welchie, you're the one who put up Neil Lennon joins Aberdeen and Barry Robson's assistant manager there in the live chat.
Aye. Welchie, do you want the link? You can come on.
Well, I must say as well, Paul, going back to a point just before you were talking about Celtic's pitch. I heard it just before I came on, and it is atrocious. It's shockingly bad. But from my experience of working where I worked before in the golf course, for Celtic to try and lay a pitch in the winter months is beyond stupid.
Exactly, Terence. Yeah, because I remember here when we were getting the house works done, we laid the grass, but we were getting the works done kind of January. And they said they're not going to lay the grass now. They'll come back in
March. Normally, because not to get into too technical in the side of it, but for most cases, obviously for the seed to grow, and I know they put down sod, so for the soils to knit, generally it has to be 6 degrees in the soil temperature, and normally 8 degrees for the grass to grow. So for that to occur, you need to do that right, and I find it amazing to believe that Celtic haven't looked at it. And I know they've done the 3D thing where they were kind of bit of this plastic yoke and do that right. And I find it amazing to believe that Celtic haven't looked at it. And I know they've
mute the one that's open, Welsh. You mute your YouTube screen.
You let me turn this in a wee bit.
Shut the YouTube screen.
Shut the YouTube screen.
Oh no, that's you. That's all right now, bud.
Aye, I've got it to tell you. I'm a phone. That's why.
All right, bud. Nice to join. Nice for you to join us.
Hi, how you doing? How are we doing?
I'm good, bud. I'm good.
Good.
Did you go to the game today, Welchie? No, or you watched the whole?
No. Stupid 4 o'clock kickoffs. No good.
You actually haven't been up in a while, have you? You've been working the last couple of weekends, haven't you? You haven't been.
I was up a couple of weeks ago. What was I? Fuck's sake, I can't even know what games I go to.
The one for the cups, the one for the cup semi. You were last up, was it? No,
you were there as well, Mark. That was that one.
What game was that, Mark? Again?
Kilmarnock, wasn't it?
Kilmarnock, aye.
Jesus Christ, Mark! They're two of his first games of the season, and you fucking remember the game.
I'm getting to more games in Welsh.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's it. You're just trying to get a cup final ticket, aren't you? Smart.
I've got one. I was at the semi-final. I've got one.
Aye, that made me laugh. That did.
How hard would it be to get final tickets? Actually, how hard is it?
It's going to be a nightmare.
Aye.
Even if you're a season ticket holder, like it's still a nightmare.
It makes no difference. It's you've got your home ticket cup scheme. People get tickets, but it's corporate. Corporate are just going to swallow the lot. They'll take some 18 to 20,000 tickets. So whereas just me, I took. What did I take? 12 for the semi.
Yeah.
I'm lucky if I get 1 or 2 for the final.
Jesus.
But see, if it wasn't them we were playing Welsh, there'd be plenty, wouldn't there?
Oh, that's it. I took 12 because that's what I was asked for. I could have got 20 or 30. It was like, there was plenty knocking about. Could have got what we wanted, but no, finals are a different breed.
Mm-hmm. And then I was going to take back to it. Me and Steph were talking about it walking down to the ground, and he said it was about £150, and that was you get your ticket into Celtic Park for a meal and a couple of drinks.
I've been offered them a few times. I bought them once for £150. You get a meal at Celtic Park, take you up on the bus and that, but I never bothered with that. Just went straight to the game.
Aye, you said that steaming, but they wanted £400 for these.
But there's not been announced yet, but the boy that I normally speak to, he normally comes back, he offers you a table, he offers you tickets, whatever it might be, but they're not cheap. They're not cheap.
See, I said I would have paid £150 for me and £150 for Jack just to carry a final and do the, you know what I mean? Get
And that's
Celtic
it. If you do the whole experience, it's not so bad. But that 150 is just a ballpark for what it was the last couple of years. It's no definite for what it is this year. I don't know what it is yet.
Right.
So we need to wait and see.
Well, I'm not be paying £400 for it. I don't love her that much.
No.
I don't even like her that much.
Scandalous, right? Isn't it, the price of it, isn't it? You know, Reg, you haven't been on for a while. What's your thoughts on this current team under Ange Postecoglou?
Brilliant. Best I've seen in a long, long time. I thought Rodgers' team was good, but this team's much better. Much better. It's the way we can interchange. We've got so many options on the bench. We've got, you know, and everybody comes in and plays the same way, and it's you can't even pick. You'll pick your best 11 who you think personally, but you'll never pick the starting 11.
Now, I don't think he has a best starting 11.
I don't think he wants.
Yeah.
I don't think he wants the best starting 11. I think he just wants everybody to be at the top of their game, and it's whoever's performing or training, whatever it might be, because it's position for position. He won't change the way he plays. He plays the same way all the time, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So it's
when he came out, he came out this week in an interview and he said, Sign Iwata gives him different dimensions within formation of his squad. You know, could we see? What I'm looking at, maybe what we spoke about, Terry.
That's Jack Welshie.
Would he be looking at maybe going into York, Mark, with two central midfielders in there with Iwata? Maybe that's what he's thinking there.
No, I'm with Welsh. I don't think he's got to change it, Paul.
He won't change it. Did you hear what he said the other day there? He was talking about Iwata coming in. He was leaning towards moving Kalmak forward, which is what we've been saying ourselves for a long time. That Kalmak sort of just reverted into that role, so Scott Brown left. But I think Iwata's going to be a big part of this last part of the season.
You know, what we've seen him, right, and what we hear about him, can be looking forward to big things from Terence, wouldn't you?
Well, you would, Paul, because I said all the signs that were given, the reports from when he was coming over, they were all raving about him. I mean, he was obviously player of the season over there. You know, good player, good ball player, good tackler. Everything that, as Welchie has said, that we've all been crying out for, to give Kalmak, push him up further up, and then, you know, give this guy a run in that position and see what he's like. Because as Mark has repeated on here 1,001 times, if you go into Champions League with Callum McGregor in the holding role, you're in a world of trouble. And that's no disrespect to Callum McGregor. As a footballer, he's superb. But in that particular role, he struggles. He struggles in Europe anyway.
I think also the best thing, Mark, about this signing Iwata is that what we saw there now today, Kalmak's made his 400 league appearance, but in those 400, Mark, he played nearly 56 games a season. Now we have this signing could actually progress Kalmak's career, because we could actually rest Kalmak. Do you get me?
I think McGregor's got the kind of Scott Brown bit about him when it comes to that, Paul. I don't think McGregor would accept being dropped unless he maybe...
No. Other players facilitate.
Not being dropped, I'm saying, like, rested. Do you know what I mean? Even at that, Paul, I don't think McGregor want to be that type of player, like, isn't this? Yeah.
I think he's the type of one, if he's fit, he'll be out in that park. I think he's that type of player.
Do you not think as well, though, when you look at the signings, Ange doesn't buy bit part players? I know people, they've got different roles and they play different times and stuff like that, but everybody he buys is to play a part.
Oh, definitely. And they can play in multiple positions as well, Mark. So, I mean, you talked about there the last couple of weeks. You know?
But it's not even, what else he's saying there as well, we don't seem to buy squad players.
No.
They're nearly all starters. They're nearly all technical. You could start them all, like, and you wouldn't look out of place, any of them, like. You're nearly replacing, like if you looked at the subs, as you're talking there, like, look at the subs that came on there, like O'Reilly, Maeda. You know, there are guys just coming on, and even the new centre forward came on. He looked good when he was on, but the team doesn't. And sometimes when you get games and you bring on subs, there's a bit of a dull, there's a dip in the game. It doesn't occur, and it's nearly like, in a lot of cases, it's nearly like for like, and everything stays the same. And you know, he could have a game during the week, and you could have Iwata, O'Reilly, and Hatate starting, or more, do you know what I mean? And he could just change. It's just his changes he has; they're so strong, and they literally, it's for me, it's so much like for in a lot of cases. You know what I mean? Taking off Jota, taking off Moy today, who was excellent from what I saw of it, and then bringing on O'Reilly and these other guys. It must be frightening for an opposition to look at the sideline and go, "Oh my God, look what's coming on!" Like,
I would say Turnbull's the only player that he doesn't count as a starter, and he wasn't his signing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I mean,
don't start Pablo.
No, but he's getting playing time. I don't see. If you look at the whole squad, I look there and I think he will start at any one time with all them players. But I think Turnbull's the one, unless it's a cup game like last week. But in a meaningful game, he's not playing Turnbull. But
I see what you're saying. You're not going to see him drop Hayase in the derby for Turnbull, Mark, are you?
No,
that was the point I was making. All the other signings are his signings.
Yeah, exactly. No,
I think it's the two wingers that seems to be the ones that are kind of more open to getting chopped and changed into it. He seems to change who the wide players is and what wing they're playing on during. Do you know what I mean? It's so Maeda, Jota, Abada. He kind of mixes and matches out of all of them. So that for me. I mean, the two. We cannot sit here and pick our own favourite kind of front three pairing, but for me, it's the two wingers that are more likely to be chopped and changed. The rest of the team really does. For what we know, and it picks itself, really, doesn't it? I mean, the defence, your first choice defence, the goalkeeper,
the keeper, the four defenders that start today, and Callum McGregor are nailed on every single week. Every single week. That's a done and dusted. And after that, obviously, I think Hatate is certainly becoming more and more, as you said, a nailed-on starter as well. But certainly the Hart and the four boys that started today, and McGregor in that role that he's been in for the last good while, they're a certainty on the team sheet every week. Like, it's a look up much.
Terence, see if they're all fit though. I mean, I like Starfelt as a defender, is brilliant.
I think he's super.
But he broke Kobayashi in because he's left-sided, and that'll make a difference if he gets a run and he can play just as well and just as strong. Then it changes the balance a wee bit and how the ball comes out the back.
Yeah, and I agree with you there, Welchie. That is obviously a major factor, because for that to have a genuine left-sided player on that the side of the defence will make a massive difference. But it would be extremely, extremely harsh to drop Starfelt, because he doesn't, as I said, the shirt is his to lose, is the way I'd be putting it as well, unless your man comes in some games and has an absolute blinder. But for me, Starfelt hasn't done a whole lot wrong,
Totally agree. You need backup and everything else, but I just think that he's brought Kobayashi in for that reason. I mean, I like Starfelt, but I think he's brought Kobayashi in for that reason. Sorry, Paul, do you ever think, and I think I know all the answer to this, do you think he'd ever bring Kobayashi in and play three at the back? No.
I don't know, he just seems to be stubborn and stuck in his formation, Mark, don't he?
Aye.
How many times did we say last year throughout Europe? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't see him ever change.
I think he's proved that he won't change formation.
Yeah, no, I don't think he will myself. I was just curious to see what anyone else would think.
Even if we're drawing a game in the last minute, all we're hearing from players and from manager himself is if we get a late goal, it's trust the process. The team knows what they have to do. We know the formation. Players know where they have to be. You get me? So I don't think he's going to change. This is the way he wanted to play football. He said, do you know what I mean?
Is that maybe a weakness in him?
Could be, Mark. Yeah, definitely. Do you know what I mean? Could be.
I mean, it's like we used to say about Brendan Rodgers when he went toe-to-toe with Barca, and man,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Things like that. Is it a weakness that Ange isn't going to say, right, wait, we're playing Real Madrid, we better tighten things up a wee bit, maybe? Do you know what I mean? When
we played Leverkusen, I was at the game in Leverkusen, we played over there. We lost the game, but we played brilliantly.
Aye.
And that was him at his starting point, and he went, there's no point changing the formation because this is how we're going to play, and that's what's going to take us forward. And he's no change from that.
The only reason we kind of lost a lot of games in Europe as well was just typical Celtic, Mark, with giving away
Callum
goals.
McGregor. Callum McGregor,
Yeah.
many mistakes did Callum McGregor make?
Mhm.
Maybe what Welsh is talking about there. Maybe he's not going to. Maybe it wasn't any of the day with the formation or the way they played. It was actually the day we just maybe
Personnel.
You
the
can't.
personnel. Maybe
You
what we're
can't.
saying a real CDM, real CDM in there would have made all the difference. Maybe Welsh in it.
You can't legislate for a player making a mistake. It doesn't mean information's not worked. I mean, you look at us in Europe this year, it's like Real Madrid, first 25, 30 minutes, absolutely brilliant against them. And all right, we lost 3-1, but we were brilliant. You know, we played great over in Madrid. We had our moments. Leipzig, we got picked off by a better side.
Aye.
But and that's the fact is they're better sides. Let's not get away from that. But it's all about the learning process. And you look at the teams with the players we had. You got Matt O'Reilly, who was playing for Milton MK Dons. You got Kyogo, who's come in. Hatati, who's 23. You know, we build on this.
But the only thing I would say, though, Welchie, this is a very fair point, but do you not think that at times in the Champions League in particular, that Celtic, in the sense that what Ange was doing at times, was very naive? In the sense that, I've said here loads of times, the reason that the players are playing with Leipzig and the reason the players are playing with Real Madrid is that they're better players than Celtic players.
No, but the formation shouldn't change. The way you want to play football doesn't change. If you can't go from playing a certain way in league games, and they say, right, we're going to play 10 men behind the ball here and see if we
I'm definitely not saying to play 10 men behind the ball for any stretch of imagination, but I'm just saying in Europe, a lot of cases it can be a little bit role reversed where Celtic won't have as much ball clearly as they do with the SPL.
I think we'll be much better next season purely because of last season. Well, this season, and I think that's what he's trying to get into. I mean, these boys are young. Play your football the way you should play. Let's say you can't legislate for somebody being better than you for making mistakes.
Oh, no, I'm not legislating that, but I'm saying if you look at the better sides in the Champions League, they all play with a genuine holding midfielder. Celtic didn't.
I'm not disagreeing with that. You can change your formation. Look at Spain at the World Cup. Spain at the World Cup played the same way we play, and they never changed anything at all. And for 93rd minute, they were still playing the same way when they're 1-0 down. That doesn't win games. But I think it just seems once a manager's got it in his mindset, that's how we're playing. That's how we're playing.
Yeah. Well, it's not necessarily changing how we play. It's just, for me, I would have just thought to be a little bit more practical
pragmatic.
Yeah, in the sense that maybe you might play two fellas holding rather than just the one. That's all I mean. The rest of it can still have the winger, still have the centre forward, still have the number 10 going forward, but maybe just have a little bit more cover, because when we play the inverted fullbacks, we should have plenty of guys going forward anyway. But what I felt what was happening, especially in the Champions League, is we got caught rotten so many times that with balls were played through, and there was times it was only Starfelt and Vickers covering. And the next goal, no, Yaman's fantastic. I'm not again comparing, but Celtic were caught rotten for that goal. You know, in the next goal, and even once or twice against Madrid, they were caught rotten. I know there's a huge difference in caliber and talent of player. Don't get me wrong, but that's all I mean. I just thought if Celtic were a little bit more pragmatic and played maybe two fellas holding, it might have given a little bit more cover. That's all I ever thought. Definitely not change the way the Celtic play, but maybe just be a little bit more, pragmatic.
Lenin-esque, a wee bit more Lenin-esque.
Yeah, we're not even so much that back, just a bit more. I mean, a bit more clever.
No, but I mean, it's fair do. I mean, that is the kind of thing. I mean, you can't argue with Lenin beating Barcelona. Do you know what I mean? He done it, and that was what we're saying. But as well, she's saying as well, some of the football we did play in Europe, and again, would things have been different if we'd had maybe a better quality striker in there?
Again, this
no
season,
doubt.
We'd look at the mistakes that were made and how we got beat and stuff like that. But you've hit the nail on the head there. See if we take more chances, we could have had a different game altogether.
Is that the difference? Is that what it's like? I keep saying it. Kyogo, for me, he misses too many chances to be an out-and-out striker, in my opinion, right? But is that the difference? And could we afford to go and get a striker that's going to be that kind of? He'll take the 1 out of 2 chances rather than the 1 out of 4 or 1 out of 5 Kyogo is, because when you're going for that kind of strikers, I mean, you're talking serious money, ain't you?
And that's it. Everybody, you look at the English Premier League, they're paying 30, 40, 50, 60 million pounds to buy strikers that will score 5-6 goals a season.
I know.
The hardest thing in the world is to buy a striker that's going to score 1 out of 2.
Never know. As we could have actually picked up another German or like we don't know till we actually see it.
And let's not make no bones about it. Kyogo scores 10 goals in that Champions League. There, he's not here this season.
Exactly.
Aye, fair dues, aye.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Like you're under the scope.
Many goal. I don't think it's never going to happen. But imagine many goals Belly would have scored in this team.
Oh, scary.
It'd be frightening.
Aye. He would. I'd say he was like maybe that. He'd be the kind of striker. He would have made a real big, massive difference to this team.
If you're going to talk about ex-strikers, well, go as far as Gary Hooper. How many would he score in this team?
Mm-hmm. Gary Hooper would love the chances we're creating. These balls in around the 6-yard box mark. He's the type of striker that would live off them. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
But we had the same problem in the SPL, Mark, as Celtic had in the Champions League, converting chances. Paul puts up stats most week, and it might be, for argument's sake, 18 shots on goal, and there might only be 4 of them on target. You know that was similar in Champions League. There was a bundle of chances.
That form from the Champions League at the time.
Yeah, I think it was. There was a stat at one stage. I think they had something like 84 chances created in the Champions League, and they scored 2 goals or 3 goals. And one of them was a kind of a deflection in. So that was terrible. Sorry, that's a terrible thing.
Confidence, though, not Champions League. We're playing Real Madrid. These are young boys.
It is, yeah. It is massively confident. You could like a bad in the first game against Real Madrid. There was 1 or 2 chances that if it was against frames like Dundee United or St Mirren at home, he's taken a touch or 2 and he's probably burying it. Whereas they're probably saying to themselves, like you're saying, oh my God, I'm playing Real Madrid. And when the ball comes, it's snapping at it and snatching at it and, letting fly at it. So from that point of view, I understand where you're coming from, Wilgie, that they all are very young lads, and I appreciate that. But I was just kind of saying, it's like in the SPL, they get bundles of chances, but they might only convert a very small percentage of them. They still might win 2 or 3-0, but they might have had 18 shots on goal.
That's fair point. That's fair point.
I think she's seen a different Kyogo since the World Cup finished. See, we're seeing him a better player. Same with Moy.
You said, Paul, that you thought he went down a bit with all that no going to the World Cup stuff and that, and you might be right, because he has come out the traps flying again.
You don't think Ange takes a lot of credit for that, though, for sticking with him?
Probably could. Giving him confidence, like when you have a striker, Marcus knocking on the door, wanting to play, and like is what you're saying there. Kyogo was Ange's first signing. It's kind of one player I kind of wouldn't want Ange to see fail. Do you get me?
But when you've got one striker, when you play with our system and you're going to play one striker up front, that must be hard knowing there's somebody else chapping at the door trying to get in and, I've missed that chance, I'm going to miss the next game stuff. But
that's what I was going to say. Yeah, but this is like the point I made there to Mark there now a while ago, like, is that we signed who looking at the things on YouTube and stuff like that, the lad can score goals and he has the physique about him. But if we're going back to the stage where Kyogo and scoring is all going to be second fiddle again. Do you get me?
That's Kyogo's the man. Kyogo's the man. He's on form as well. You can't knock him.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think Kyogo's a great player. I stuck by him.
You don't just drop a player because they've had one bad game either.
No. You have to say that, Mark. I stuck by him week in and week out.
Aye.
I mean, I've always been in the camp that, I thought Giakoumakis should have had more game time because I thought Giakoumakis is a better number 9. But especially after the World Cup, the stats speak for themselves. Kyogo's hitting he's doing what he's there to do. But
even O's not that striker, Mark, so he's not out and out number 9 looking at him. It doesn't seem like we saw him there today. He was out in the wings and stuff like that. Like, so he could actually play the 2 of them and have Kyogo through the middle. Do you know what I mean?
I'm not sure. I agree with Welshie, but I don't think Kyogo. I just don't see Ange dropping Kyogo for anybody. As long as he's fit. And we always been brought in just to So I said, learn his trade a bit
You
for
could
maybe
say
6
so,
months
like
and then he'll get...
Kyogo is the same as Callum Mack in the squad. I mean, you're not going to be dropped. If you're fit, you're playing. That's the... Would that be the same
Right,
with
well,
Kyogo?
that's what I said. But that's what I'm saying earlier on,
Mhm.
Paul. For the front three, for me, it's the wingers. The wingers can get chopped and changed, but Ange's, if Kyogo's fit, he's going to be playing. As far as I'm concerned, with what Ange's Ange's been doing. Do you know what I mean? That seems to be his way, sir.
It'll take a lot for Kyogo not to get in the team.
Mhm.
You know, he'd have to have. The other thing as well is, see if he doesn't have 3 bad games, Ange's not the type to say you're trapped. He's going to put him back in and say keep going.
Definitely. Moving on, Welgie, what's your thoughts on, I know we touched on it there, but it's coming up in the live chat again. What's your thoughts on VAR in Scotland so far?
Run by Hun bastards. Next question.
Straight, that's Welsh.
It's farcical, though, isn't it? You know. Don't get me wrong. I had a big bet running the day that I needed Celtic to win by half time. I didn't think that was a penalty. I agreed with VAR that time, and my thing with VAR is it's not about getting a decision go your way just because you got one. It needs to be right.
That's my point. That's exactly it, Welshie. That's my point on it. It's nothing about whether it goes your way or whether it doesn't. It's whether it's the actual right decision.
And that's,
Like,
I mean, I don't.
The penalty
I don't
last week.
I don't watch their games, but you see it on Twitter on the clips and stuff all the time. I mean, all right, the penalty they got yesterday, but that tackle with Raheem Jack, what was that all about?
Shocking.
You know, and it's like, again, I don't care if they get 50 penalties and we get none if they're all the right decision. But if they're all the right decision,
that's exactly what I say as well. You've got to even call it Welshie. You're saying you didn't think that was a penalty today, right? The one last week that went for us, I don't know anybody that thought that was a penalty.
That was a penalty, no.
Aye. So, but
the second one was more of a penalty when he was on the ground, when Ambrose was on the ground in the basket.
You've seen them gave as well, but in your terms, the one on the ground for me was merely a penalty.
There's no argument for it, but that wasn't a penalty either. But none of them, neither one of them last week should have been a penalty. No, definitely not. We didn't deserve a penalty last week. Today's one was quite obvious. The guy hits it with his horn, puts his horn behind his back to go, oh, fuck. But you know that.
Was not the same penalty against Hearts?
It was, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's the same thing. The boy stuck his arm out and then but see the one at Hearts, if you watch it back, he runs up with his arm behind his back for the next 10 seconds if he's not got an arm. As if he's kidding on, he's not got an actual arm.
That's a telltale sign straight away, isn't it?
Aye.
But you're not even that, Mark. If you look at it today, like the question you're have to ask is, how can the referee think that? How the referee gives the first one which he thinks is a penalty, which clearly the keeper gets a punch in the ball, and then there's a natural coming together. It's just going to happen, and he doesn't give the second one. Like he does, where your man puts his arm out, he doesn't give that as a penalty. It actually goes to VAR. Basically, you need to look at it. It's a clear penalty.
Aye.
But he has no problem giving the first one, which isn't a penalty, and he misses the second one, which is a blatant penality. So you question the referee, like
if he's not seen it, that's fine, and that's what VAR's there for.
Mm-hmm. There was the Reg watch Mark down in Sky Sports, the fella Gallagher. He actually came out with the Kilmarnock game, right, and he said that sometimes in a ref's match, if he knows he got the first penalty wrong, he tried to even it up and not give a second penalty. So that could have happened last week against Kilmarnock. You know?
I think things like that they kind of play
a part. Just trying to even it up.
I've heard a few ex-referees saying that before.
Mm-hmm.
They try, if they've missed something like that and they think they've missed it, they'll try and even it up if there's one later on. But again, it's what Welshie says. But it's what you're saying, Welshie. It should be that. It should be the right decision at the time. Mm-hmm. Whether it's for your team or off your team, at least you know you're playing a fair playing field.
The problem with VAR for me, in my opinion, I mean, you've got your offsides. Offsides should be a matter of fact. It's a line there, it does it. The referee misses it. You're offside, no goal or goal, whatever it might be. But the trouble is with some of these penalty decisions, a lot of these penalty decisions and even red card decisions, they're still coming down to opinion. And
ridiculous, and it's taking too long.
The ones that get me or when VAR make that decision on an opinionated decision where the referee should make the opinion. If he gets it wrong, he gets it wrong, but he should make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
I've said that all along for VAR, Welshie.
Yeah.
It's always
Mark, it's the VAR.
It should be the referee that's making that call.
Yeah.
As soon as there's a VAR shout, it should be the referee should be right out of that screen to watch. Do you know what I mean?
When it first came out in England, you always knew that when the referee went over to look at the VAR screen, his decision that he'd made on the pitch would usually stand.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever it might be. But it's when there's a decision that he's waiting for and VAR go, play on. No, that's wrong. Get him to look at it and make that decision.
It should. I can't remember. Was it Tom Boyd that said it the other week? It's as if VAR's refereeing the games rather than the referee.
Andy Walker said it, and it was the first time I've agreed with him in fucking years. That's what annoyed me.
But that's what it's like. It was the one put the other week, Paul, and you actually saw the referee saying, "Oh, it's no my decision."
Yeah,
said that after the game, didn't he? Beaten.
That was beaten. Yeah, that was beaten. Yeah, it's not my decision. I'm looking, going, what do you mean it's not your decision?
You're the
referee, like, do you know what I mean? Jesus Christ, like, you know.
As I said, hopefully, Terence was the last. I said to you last week. They're trying out this. Everybody can hear what the ref and the VAR's talking about at this World Club Championship. Next week that starts. I'm not sure, but they're trying that, and if that becomes part of like the worldwide VAR system, I can't see that going down too well in Scotland.
You know yourself, Mark. When you're starting at the games, right, and then you've got that pause for VAR, and you're waiting for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever it might be. All of a sudden, the decision's made, and the first thing you're doing is you're checking your WhatsApp pages, you're checking your messages for somebody to actually tell you, was it right or was it wrong? Because at the game, you've only seen that split-second action in that minute. See if it was on the big screens and it was communicated to the fans. That would be 100 times better.
But it's exactly that. It's exactly that, Welsh. As I said, I'm a big rugby fella, and that's what's done in the rugby. And the problem is, Mark, that I don't understand is, they're like, if you've got nothing to hide, why can't it be done? Like, if you've got nothing to hide, why can't it be done? It's easy. Ask a simple. There's all you have to do is ask 1 or 2 questions. Is there any reason I can't award a penalty? That's all I need to do. Is there any reason I can't award a penalty? And the referee's looking at that, and he can ask the TMO for advice. Is there any reason I can't award a penalty? The referee makes a final decision. And if he goes, and he looks at it and he goes, yeah, he's moved his arm, that's a penalty. Or, no, he got a toe to the ball, it's not a penalty. Do you know, it's not that difficult for them to have a communication between the two of them, and everyone can hear it, and they can be literally sitting, looking at the VAR screen, and then everyone hears what's going on, or on the big screen, or whatever it is, and everyone sees it. Like, why can't they not communicate? Like, if they're not, yeah, they're not meant to be hiding anything. As I said, in the rugby, I'm a big rugby man, and you'd hear the referee, and he'd be on the big screen, and you'd be going, "Is there any reason I can't award a try?" And the TMO would look, and he goes, "My decision is a try. Is there any reason I can't award a try?" So the same way that a referee in Scotland could go, "My decision is a penalty, or is not a penalty. Is there any reason to overturn that and to give them a penalty?" And if he looks at it with the fella in VAR, and he goes, "Actually, do you know what? I got it wrong. Your man has put out his hand. It is a penalty." It's not that fucking hard to do, like.
No.
I don't understand why there's all cloak and daggers, like.
Keep the fans. It's an entertainment business at the end of the day, you know, and the fans pay their money to go and see the games. It should be. I'm not saying a fan involvement, but put it up on the screens. Let everybody see what they're looking at, what they're thinking about. And if it's an opinionated thing, then you're always an argument over an opinionated thing. As long as the referee's made that final decision, then we move on to the next one.
Exactly. 100%.
I don't think the referees in Scotland would be too keen on people hearing what they're saying, but they use.
Can you imagine them all sat there with their sashes on a big screen?
But not even that. But see if you're sitting, I mean, you know what these guys on Twitter and that are like, man. They're everything like a rash. So every single thing that they're talking about would be dissected to the nth degree. Do you know what I mean? See if they say, I mean, I don't know what they talk. Did they talk like all this? What about Rule 1413B Section C, where it says if his fucking eyebrows fell over that line, he's offside?
You know yourself, Mark. As a fan of football, whether it's a game you've got, whether it's your own team or whether it's just a normal game of football you're watching, where you're a football fan, you know the ins and outs of most things. Not everything, but we know the most ins and outs of most things. And if you come away from it going, well, I can see why he didn't give that, or I can see why he gave that. Well, you know, that's what it comes down to, in my opinion.
Aye.
It should, you know, if it's stone
It's-
wall,
it's like, see, like
the
what you're
ones
saying
that
as
are
well.
stone wall, you're not
Aye.
getting.
It's like one, but see what you're saying as well. Welshie. A lot of even down to the referees, it does come down to like their opinion. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if it's a penalty claim, you say, how many times do we say to each other, "Oh, I've seen them give, but I've seen them no give," so you can't
Exactly,
really.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? But
And that's
it comes
different.
straight. Aye, so
You
it does come
accept
down to the opinion, but no stonewall blatant thing. That it's just you even brought up that tackle for Jack yesterday. That fucking shocking tackle in any. I mean, they're all gone daft on social media about Fabinho's tackle today in the Liverpool game.
I seen that. Was a terrible tackle. Even he was shaking his head 5 minutes after with the ball was
Aye.
still down. He should have been sent off for that.
Aye,
That's what VAR's
definitely.
for.
It's dangerous
But
play.
Jack's
don't-
was just as bad as that, in my
But
opinion.
Mark, you go
Welshie.
back to the Manchester United game yesterday with Andy Carroll and Ericsson. Do you know what I mean? Ericsson had to go off after that. Like, these are they're dangerous tackles. These what do they call them? Kind of scissor tackles or something? Is it when you kind of go into two legs?
It definitely says. I mean, it's no difference because it's actually, if it happens, it happens, and it's the rules. It's the rules. I mean, you can tell when a player does something and he knows he's done something.
Aye.
You know, because Fabinho was a perfect example today. He was walking with his hands and his head, shaking his hands because he knew when it went to VAR, he thought, I'm fucked here. I've done that.
Aye, and it doesn't see the thing about it as well, but see, it doesn't mean that they're like nasty players like that, Fabinho or
It's a
that.
Just timing, but Jack's one was a nasty one.
Aye, you can tell.
There's a difference, like, you know.
Fabinho's kind of in a tussle with the guy and tried to stick his foot out when he shouldn't have. But I mean, that Ryan Jack was fleeing through the air with his 2 feet off the ground.
Well, Hun behaviour, boy, that's what it is. Hun behaviour. That's my new
I
word.
seen St. Johnson tweeted before that their red card might get rescinded, and if it does get rescinded, that just shows you how farcical it is because that's
been the difference in the point.
That's what VAR's there to stop.
Yeah, but I really seen that kind of happen now since VAR came in, because Marcus going to the point, you go, well, it went to VAR and they reviewed it. You get me? You know?
What?
So I kind of don't see him kind of being receded, like upgraded to a red card since VAR came in. I'm actually seeing less and less of that since VAR came in.
Aye.
You know, it's like it's gone through VAR already.
Where's this compliance officer and all this? Mind he popped up. He popped up a while ago in what a radio show wants to talk about some Celtic decisions, and we've never heard from him since.
Yeah, exactly. But people are still saying that. Like, where is he? Like, you know what I mean? Where is he?
You've not heard from him since VAR started.
Moving on, just want to just come out there and said something about Callamack and John Callamack's 40th appearance. I just said to the lads, they got to appreciate sharing a dressing with a special individual. He'll obviously go down as a legend at this club, and this is the biggest compliment I can pay him. As I said to the players, that he plays every game that is his debut, and he's as if he's always got something to improve. He scrapes for everything. He's involved in everything, even that he's done in the Scottish game. They live and breathe. He lives and breathes it. They're amongst it every day by his actions and his words. I still don't go into the dressing room at Livingston. I don't know what it looks like, because that's Colin McGregor's domain.
I remember when he was a young boy, he came down to our end of the season, or the season do we have the end of the season for the club, and he came down. It was him, Ewan O'Connell, and Darnell Fisher. So I think it must have been about 10 years ago, before he went to North County on loan.
Yeah.
Went quiet, Welshie.
It's only now you're like, oh, what a guy.
You know, like Mark, we were on about.
Welshie, you went quiet there. What were you saying?
It's gone, is he?
He's still showing up his own, but he's not talking.
But look, we just move on. Like Mark, we talked about Scott Brown being legends. We talked about legends of Celtic, like 400 appearances. He's still playing. You know what I mean? Like, he's given it all, isn't he, Callamack, isn't he, for Celtic? He had the chance. Like, this the thing I love about him, is because he had the chance to go abroad, Mark, and he wanted to be with Celtic. Do you know what I mean? You know, he wanted it. You know,
He's knocked his melt in for years to become Celtic captain, and for me, Cal McGregor definitely 100% a Celtic legend. No doubt about it at all.
Even that guy, Terence, go on, yeah.
You have to remember, Paul. This is a young boy that's living his dream. Like,
yeah, exactly.
His dream with the greatest fight mightn't have been to play with, we say, for argument's sake, Leicester or Leeds or Tottenham. His dream growing up was probably, all I want to do is I want to put on the hoops. I just want to play with Celtic. That's all I want to do. And clearly, to Callum McGregor. Yeah, and clearly to Callum McGregor. But clearly to him, it's not necessarily about money, because he could have gone and got a lot more money elsewhere.
Yeah, you're back here, Welshie, aye.
Aye, I thought you should bump me or something there.
No, I don't know. You were talking about Cal McGregor coming down, and then you just went quiet.
Oh, I was probably waffling.
You're right, Terence. He said plenty of chances to go. A player like McGregor, I mean, honestly, I think Cal McGregor could play for in any top team in Europe. I really do. I think he's that good an actual, just the way he kind of fit my brain works. I think he could play for any of the big teams in Europe. But from the start at Celtic, he's not going.
You have to admire it, Mark, don't you? Really?
Aye, and he's not going to go anywhere new. Do you know what I mean?
Deserved the captaincy. That's the big thing you can say. He earned that.
Aye, that's what I said there, Welsh. When you were off there, aye, he's worked hard all the years to get where he is to be the Celtic captain. You can't fault the guy, can you?
No. He's a driving force in the team, like.
Hold on, there's Foxy coming on, I think. Hello, Foxy, bud. Turn your camera off, mate. You don't need to put your camera on.
Right, I don't know what I'm doing. First time. So, how are you doing, guys? I don't know what I've ended up doing. Right, camera off, that's me.
Right, that's you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, Cal Mac's just the driving force behind the team. And as you listen to Ange when he says about it, I mean, I stay near Cal Mac, and during the pandemic, he was out every day running, unlike another person who stays near him, Mr. Griffiths. And the man's just a machine, and he just loves the club, and he gets it. And I think by the fact that he gets it, he just inspires, and it seeps into everyone else at the club.
You can tell that he's took care of the Scott Brown mantle, hasn't he?
Well, absolutely. And I think we talked about this in the chat and everything before it, Mark. At the end of the day, I mean, we all thought Scott Bruni would be a big miss, and personally, I thought it would be a big miss. And I'm saying this to my wife the other day, we were talking about it, and I can't believe that we've managed to get somebody as special and to slot into Bruni's role. And Bruni will say that. When you listen to Bruni going on about him, I mean, there's stuff on YouTube about it. And I think, we probably don't appreciate how fortunate we are to have somebody like that can go in and take that mantle. Because let's be honest, it was big shoes to fill.
Definitely. It's always like sometimes you see big players, but when they take the captaincy as well, Foxy, they can't handle it. Do you know what I mean? They can't handle it, because he said there, like, he's taking it on, and I don't know what you can't replace a person like that within a squad. Just what one person brings to a squad. You know what I mean? He's what you were saying there, Terence. He's the driving force behind the team, like,
You won't realise how big a loss Callum McGregor is until he finishes playing with Celtic, and then you'll realise how big a gulf in the team, because he's just an unbelievable player. Like, he's literally, as you said, it's like you can see him. He's always the one. If Celtic are kind of struggling a little bit, he always is the one that grabs the ball and drives forward. He did it last year in Ibrox when they were struggling a bit to get. He was involved in the first goal. The guy's just an unbelievable force, and he just keeps going and going and going and going and going. He never looks like he's going to stop. Like,
well, look back even the. Sorry, on you go.
The biggest compliment you can give Callum McGregor, he's definitely Brown, and that Brown would get stuck into people, get into their faces and stuff like that. McGregor leads by example in the way he plays.
Yeah.
He's first and foremost, he's a football player. He wants to go forward. He wants to do the right thing, and he gets everybody going that way. They just look at him.
Let me stay, Welshie.
Oh, exactly, let me stay.
I mean, Welshie, you're absolutely right. I mean, look at the times we really look at the Aberdeen game. We're desperate. We're in a bit of a hole. We just don't know how we're going to get the ball in the net. And Cal Mac just pops up, sticks the ball in the net. We win. You know?
You're thinking about like someone just have to come back from a big injury that time as well, Foxy. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, that's why I think Ange says, Paul, that, you know, at the end of the day, and if you hear his interviews, he said, you know, I don't have a set team, but Calmac plays when Calmac's fit.
Here's one for you. If Tierney had stayed, would McGregor have been made captain?
I think McGregor was always going to be captain. I think no matter who was there.
There were like two peas in a pod going forward with the Celtic way, weren't they? I just thought, you know, that would have been a competition there, and who'd have got it?
That's actually good. That's a very good question. That's a very good question. And you know, the thing is, I think possibly not, and I think it might have been the wrong decision. No disrespect to Tierney, but I think it might have been the wrong decision. But I think you might be right, Welshie. You know,
I think Tierney was always going to leave, wasn't he?
I know what you're saying, Matt. It's just the progression is just coming through the first.
But at the time, I know what you mean. At the time, Welsh, that would have been quite a tough decision if Tierney was still here. But Tierney, for me, was always destined to move on for Celtic. There's no way he was going to spend his career at Celtic. And I think that would have maybe come into it kind of thing as well. But it's a good point now.
I suppose if you look at it like,
I mean, the next Celtic captain will be Stephen Welsh. We all know that.
Who is it? Who is it? It's Vickers, isn't it? Vickers and kind of Hart, really, isn't it?
It's between name.
Let's say McGregor will be there longer than them too.
I don't know, mate. Do you know what?
Stephen Welsh will be captain Juventus. Then.
I was saying to Mark in the last podcast, I fear for the summer, for the transfer window to open the summer, for Celtic to keep hold of these players.
But Paul, do you not feel a bit more confident? Sorry, do you not feel a bit more confident that we've got a man in who now kind of gets the whole process? I mean, look at him today after the final whistle. I mean, it's tremendous. He gets the whole process, and if people want to move on, he says, that's fine. You want to better your career, I'll get someone in. And he just, you know, I think Mark said a few times in the chat, it's the whole, and I know you've harped on for years about this, Mark, but it's the whole, you know, all
right, man.
No, I mean, you're right. I don't mean that, but I mean, you're talking about build the structure of the club. You were always saying that. That's what I mean. I'm being complimentary, actually, even though it probably doesn't sound like it. You build the structure of the club so that no one person is irreplaceable. And you've always said that, you know, a director of football or whatever, and that's the way, so that when someone leaves, someone else slots in. And I think Ange gets that 100%.
And that works. And the problem we've got is, in my eyes, is and I don't agree with you there, Paul, because I think the way we're going will be a revolving door of players, and the system will stay the same, and it'll be the training same. Our problem is if Ange goes.
Yes.
If anybody dangles that carrot to Ange and he takes it, then that stops everything.
Well, I've said that. We spoke to that. Exactly. Yeah, we said that. Ange was growing a hole.
I call it putting all our eggs in the Ange basket. Do you know what I mean?
And we are.
Yeah.
But I think as well, Welshie, I think it would need to be something really, really extraordinary for Ange to even consider it. I mean, it's like they were talking about, would Everton look at him? I saw Hugh Keevins wrote the day that Everton didn't go for Ange because Darvel beat Aberdeen in the Cup. How we came to that conclusion, I've not got a fucking Scooby-Doo, but that's what Hugh Keevins said today. But even at that, I mean, it's like you go, say even Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea's a revolving door down there as well. But Chelsea come in for Ange and says, we'll give you mega millions to sign as manager, we'll give you this money and that. Right? He'll be just like every other Chelsea manager over the years. He's only a few games off the sack. Plus, he's not get it's the control. Would Ange get the control that he's got?
I think that's the main thing, like, why he loves Celtic, because he has that control.
I mean, all the big teams in England, all the teams in England work with like directors of football and stuff like that. Every team's got them. I mean, even Leicester. People say Brendan Rodgers couldn't work with a director of football, but he left Celtic through the back door to go and work with one at Leicester.
Don't get me wrong. I do get the impression with Ange that it's a legacy thing with him. I don't think he's driven by money or anything else.
He's
a
50,
legacy thing.
he's 58, 59.
You know,
Well, she's
so-
past that,
so-
isn't it?
So if he comes in, so to him, it's see next season, when it comes to next season, the Champions League and stuff, no matter how good or bad we do, as long as he can look at the board and go, well, you backed me and it's my fault, or it's no my fault, or it's my reason we done well, then he'll keep going. It's when the board. I don't think he'll leave us. I don't think he'll leave us. I think he's here for the long term to build and build and build. It's when there's things put in his way.
Could you maybe see him then, Welchie, like Rebel 86 is saying, how long Ange will stay? Will we get another year? But could you see maybe Ange stepping up to that more senior role as a director of football, what we're talking about when he retires at Celtic?
I think he's already doing it.
Mhm.
You know, that's to him. It's as long as you leave him in charge of the football side of things and let him get what he wants within the reason. You know, it's always, you know, if you go for a player and this player's £20 million and Celtic say no, you can't get it. Well, he's got to understand that. Do you know what I mean? But if he's gone for players that he wants to go for and he understands the budgets and everything else, but as long as if we do well next season, we get the money coming in. As long as he's getting to spend whatever budget he's got and he's happy with that, then he'll keep going.
Here's the thing, just for an interest. Does anyone? I mean, I like to see clips of him in the training ground, and we've not had a manager for years that's actually done that. Goes out and trains with the players, and if you see him, he's always out with his wee notebook and he's writing, and I think that's a good thing.
He's a manager. He's a football manager, isn't he? It's like old school, isn't it?
But you know what I mean? Well, some of them say, I don't go in the training ground because the assistant manager, the coaches report back to me. You know, and I'm not saying that makes him a better manager or a lesser manager. I'm just saying personally, I mean, I'm 60 this year. Personally, it's something I like to see because I think it's good. What's that?
It's kind of old school, Foxy, isn't it? It's kind of old school.
Yeah, exactly.
He still enjoys. Exactly. Like it's a man who still enjoys his football and he still wants to be out there no matter what. If it's training,
yeah.
I mean, you even see him at the B games, Mark, don't you? Do you know what I mean? He's out in the B games. He's out watching them train. He's out watching their progress.
You hear a lot of managers complaining about the management side of things, but it's contracts and all this kind of stuff. It takes it away and stuff. Straight away, he says, "I'm not that type of manager. I'm a football manager."
Mm-hmm.
You know. He's been straightforward with that the whole time, hasn't he?
I don't think he takes much to do with actual contract talks and stuff and such and that. Do you know what I mean? But because he didn't understand it.
I think that's what Stephen's saying as well. That we're benefiting because we've got a football manager.
Exactly.
A manager, haven't we?
And it helps massively as well.
I like as well. He does the "I'm not friendly with any of the players" kind of thing, and he tells the story about how when he went to his first job, he had to sack his best pal or no renew his contract, etc. And I think that's a great thing within a club. Again, I'm not getting it, but you know, it's like, you know, you can't be the manager of a club like Celtic and be friendly with some of the players and not friendly with others and have your favourites. And I think it's great. I mean, if you ever listen to him getting interviewed, he says that the seat beside him in the plane's the death seat because he doesn't talk to him on the plane for about 4 hours.
The other thing he says as well, Stephen, was about Giacomakis, was obviously who's referring to. I mean, he's like about game time. He says, we don't get game time, guaranteed game time at a club like ours. You need to earn it, don't you? You know,
exactly, yeah. Exactly.
I think he just... I mean, Welsh, you're obviously like me, you're as are we all in this podcast, but he just kind of seems to have, you know, we identify with what he's saying. It's like you know, I don't, you know, I mean, I thought when he came out and said as well, I don't sell Celtic to anyone. If they don't want to come and play for this.
I feel like I'm cheating on Ronnie with Ange. Because I feel like I'm cheating on Ronnie.
Aye. I know what you mean, Welshie.
Terence, did you want to come in there, Terence? There, you just wanted to say something?
Yeah, no, just saying as well what the lads are saying about all about Postecoglou and the way he's managing. But like, there's a massive thing has to go as well towards Michael Nichols. That he, like, if it was Peter Lawwell that was in there, it mightn't be Postecoglou still there. Because Michael Nichols is letting Ange run the football side and he's running the financial side, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
And he said, and like,
exactly.
You know, you're not hearing about Michael Nichols. Whereas we would have always heard that it was the infamous Ivan Toney one where he was there and Lawwell tried to make it $1 million less, or the Italian lad who landed in Glasgow and he got to get back on the plane to fly back over. So these things wouldn't if Postecoglou was there and Law was there and these things were happening, he'd be gone. He'd be long gone. Whereas obviously, Michael Nichols and him have a great relationship, and obviously he knows I'll do the football, he does the finances, he does the contracts, and when we come together and we talk about transfers and everything else, and every time you hear Postecoglou talking about, he goes, Michael Nichols is doing everything he can do for me. He's helping me, everything he's doing for me to make sure that we get the players that we need. He's doing everything. He's been brilliant. We've had a great team, and that's a massive part of it. That there's unity across the whole board. With if it's Mark Lawwell there, and it's Postecoglou's got his sports science guys in, and there's Michael Nichols there. So, and they've got they're working together as a team fantastically well. And there's no one individual. Apart, obviously, Postecoglou's the obvious one for all of us because he stands out as the manager, but not the way Lawwell used to behave. You don't hear Michael Nichols, so he has to take huge credit for it as well. That it's smooth running across the board, and everything that Postecoglou wants within reason, he's getting like.
Yeah, but also I think I think you're right, Terence, but I also think he's a realist. I mean, he doesn't say. I mean, I was talking to someone the other day, Celtic supporter, and he's young and daft and stupid, right? And he's saying, "I don't understand why we can't sign someone like Haaland." And you're like, "Really?" And I'm like, I've watched good Celtic teams, bad Celtic teams, mediocre Celtic teams, but I can understand why we don't sign someone like Haaland, And you think,
Ronnie
yeah.
did.
Yeah, I know.
Him and Odegaard went at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
But a lot of those,
by the way,
a lot of those young guys as well, though, have never grown up watching Celtic lose.
Yeah,
they've only ever watched Celtic winning. Like they don't remember Celtic for argument's sake in the 90s, where they were struggling continuously.
Move on, Terence. Move on.
I will. I'm only just saying it though, Welsh. Do you know what I mean? These guys are watching Celtic when they were going undefeated.
I remember. I think we've all remember going when there was 13,000 at Parkhead, and thinking, shit, how bad is this going to get? But we still stayed with it,
Oh yeah, and that's all those young lads.
Who Wayne Biggins was.
Oh God, Wayne Biggins. Right, guys, I'm going to shoot. I just thought I'd join in with you because I've always tried to support you and everything. It's been good talking to you, and I'll catch you probably Wednesday night in the chat. So look after yourself. Keep doing the good work, guys, and take care. Okay, have a good week. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
Before we go moving on to Wednesday game, I hope.
Have we not spoken about Toby yet?
Wait till the League of Ireland starts. Right, it's going to be called Celtic Rumours TV, the Toby Progress podcast.
I'll tell you one thing, Welchie. You're some shit star. You've gone on about Turnbull, and now you're going on about Toby. You're some man, boy.
Yeah, Jesus.
Next time I'm going on about hair.
I tell you what, I had a right good laugh when I realised he went to Cork. He couldn't have written that.
No, you couldn't have. You couldn't. You really couldn't have. Like, you know what I mean? They don't care. Do you know what I noticed as well when I went down there? I should have left on my clothes when I jumped the fence to take a selfie with him. That didn't go down well with the police or something.
I saw that, Paul. I saw that picture. So a young female has jumped the fence to hug Toby.
And then they zoomed in the car, but then they thought it was a transgender or something.
No,
that was a long-haired young female.
When does the League Island start? When does it start? Next 2 weeks, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got the end of February to get a selfie with Toby, or you're never allowed to mention him on this podcast again.
Does a selfie take though, like? What does it take from the stand, like? And just
no. You need to get down and start saying. I'm a 40-year-old man. I'm not going to look like a fucking paedophile. Go up to a teenager asking for a selfie. How? He's a player. He's your hero.
Yeah. One, he's playing for Cork. Two, there's going to be about 15 people at the game.
Watch out. See if our games are on the telly. Watch them. You'll just see a wee guy with a wee man bun with one of the signs. Please can I have your top? Toby. What is it? Toby 9.9 sign or something like that. I saw a good one there on Twitter. There was a fella. He was video camera his child, to take a picture, on the beach, And there was a braless woman walking up the left hand side. You see the far. No, Alan, a bit more to your left.
a big note to your left, a foot note to your left, and there was the woman walking past him like it was fucking brilliant. Like,
Don't change the subject. You need to for your actual incredibility, Paul. Because it's if you don't, it's just creepy.
it's a bit creepy too. Like, one of his fucking picture.
Like, you've been on about the boy for years on the internet, and you're not going to go and get your photo took with him.
He'd probably say, "Is that fucking freak on the podcast?"
That fucking idiot with that man going, I'm off.
I thought that fucking cunt was. I thought he was living in Scotland.
You live a bar in order. You live like 100-yard bar in order from Toby.
Christ, one fucking hell. Hey,
Fuck's
are you
sake,
going up
he
to
escaped Celtic to get away from Paul and Tim. Now he's got Paul for Cork.
Exactly. He's probably going to Celtic to get away from me or something like that. And he ends up in Cork City, knowing that I live in Cork City. Jesus Christ. Are you going to the game on Wednesday, or is midweek games kind of hard for you, Welch, or what?
I'll find out tomorrow. I'm trying to get off work early to drive up. So I'll find out tomorrow.
And what time would you have to get off work then to drive up there?
I'm working in Liverpool just now, so I can get away for about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. I should be okay.
Mm-hmm. So it was a tough game, Mark, against
But then
Livingston.
again, Steph's off the beer, so I might get a miss.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly.
He's back on it, is he no?
No, that's what I'm saying. He's back on it. He's back. His first day back on Wednesday. He messaged me before.
We couldn't do the hours. Steph was doing that.
it?
Steph was doing that dry January thing. You still have to drink for January.
Then he goes mental for February.
That's exactly
yeah.
Aye.
First time back and there's a Celtic match on.
I failed on dry Wednesday.
Jesus Christ. So it was a tough game, Mark, but at home.
That's the thing, Paul.
Yeah, it's at home.
You're kind of confident.
Even though, Mark, our pitch is not as good as fucking Livingston's pitch, I say, at the moment.
No, the pitch will probably suit Livingston better.
Mm-hmm. You know, I'm expecting a win or turns to you, hopefully.
Yeah, but you look, all the quality Celtic have on the pitch and in the subs, you would expect Celtic to keep just driving on, doing what they're doing, playing the way they're playing. They're going to get plenty of chances. Just make sure that they finish the chances, and you know they've been solid in midfield, solid in defence. So like you're going to have your majority time. Livingston are going to do what Livingston do, Paul. They're going to be trying to get maybe corners and free kicks and throw the big men up and just try to defend like mad for the 90, whatever it is, maybe 95 minutes or 98 minutes or an hour and a half, whatever it is, how long ever football seems to, or 2 hours, whatever long football seems to take now at the minute. But yeah, you can't see any result other than Celtic. You know what I mean? Especially at home, which is the big thing, as Mark said there. Away it's different, but once it's at home, you expect Celtic to have the 3 points.
Mark, would this be the right game to maybe, as you said there, rotating the wingers as always, like maybe for his physique, Haksabanovic in this game, a bit of height as well?
I want to see Haksabanovic get run the team, Paul.
I do, because Kevin was talking about that in the live chat today, and he was saying, I don't know, like he has his doubts about him and things, but it was like he's had
a couple of injuries in that, Paul. But I mean, well, look at Moy, Aaron Moy. That's a player everybody was kind of what we signing him for. He got off to a bit of a ropey start, and he's coming out onto a game. He's been one of our best players over the last couple of weeks in that. But I think again, Paul, it's just this. Sometimes players take a bit of time to breed into the team and that. We've seen Haksabanovic, we've seen the kind of player he is. So I think I would give him a starting.
Do you know what? Do you know what you're saying about Moy there? Do you know what we're actually seeing of David Moy, Mark? Is
David Moy
football brain?
Aaron Moy, surely.
Aaron Moy, sorry, is his football brain? He can read the game, though, can't he, Moy? Can't he? Is that Alistair Johnson?
That's Alistair Johnson's dad.
Jesus Christ!
Hey, you're lucky. I can't put pictures up.
Right. They don't go any further, will she?
Yes, we stop there. We're live. You know, Jesus Christ. You know, but I think that's what we're seeing of Moy, Mark. He's experiencing the game. He's football brain to pick out a pass and stuff like that. Like that cross today was unbelievable. Like,
the World Cup did him the world.
Yeah, exactly.
He's in an intense training camp at the World Cup. He's played a few games. He's come back full of confidence, and he's hit the ground running.
See the World Cup training camp and that. Well, that will have helped his fitness levels and that as well. Do you know what I mean? Considering he hadn't played for so long before he joined us in that. But I mean, as I said, I wasn't too impressed with signing. But it's one of these signings that it's turned into a kind of positive for pennies. Literally, we've laid out pennies on him, kind of considering no transfer fee or anything like that. And
he's a first start now. He's a first start.
No, I wouldn't go. Right now, I would say because O'Reilly's my beauty for him, but I think if O'Reilly was playing at his peak, he wouldn't be getting the game time. He was.
They were saying there today that O'Reilly has the most shots and goal in the league.
Without scoring.
Yeah. I think that's really what he needs, Mark. Isn't it just a goal? You know what I mean?
But it takes the pressure off him as well. Matt Riley came in, played his first game. He played straight away and he stayed in the first team. Coming out of the first team will not do him any harm. He's 21-year-old.
Aye, exactly. That's what people are forgetting. Well, his age. Do you know what I mean? And the step up he's made to Celtic. Do you get me? You know, people are writing him off. But again, go through these blips, don't they?
It also boils down to the fact that we're not a team. We're a squad. You know, and different players will come in and come out. Like I say, we know the nailed-on ones like Carl Mack and Carter Vickers and Kyogo, but round about them, these players will interchange. It'll not do them any harm. Like I say, Haksabanovic he'll get his run. He'll get his run.
Do you think he'll be comfortable Wednesday night, Welchie?
Me, listen, the way I look at Celtic is upsets happen in football, but there's not a team in the league that should beat us. And that's just my opinion at every game. I expect us to win every game. I'm not saying we're going to win every game, but I expect us to win every game.
Especially at home, I know, because it's at home, it's kind of...
That's it. I mean, you don't get me wrong. Wednesday night time, it could be pushing down with rain, it could be different factors come into play. Some players have an off night. Things happen in football. That's how it happens. But if it's a case of talent against talent, we win that game. Simple.
Moving on, then do you think that's just done now in the transfer window, or is it more so players going out than coming in?
I think there'll be a couple of players getting out, Paul, but I wouldn't be surprised if somebody else came in. Somebody, I'm not going to say who it is. I thought he would have mentioned it, but somebody I know met John Collins the other day, and according to John Collins, it's going to be a loan signing.
A loan signing would probably make more sense than a permanent signing. To be
striker marker.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. He met John Collins the other day and he was talking to John Collins and he said, we're blaring about it, and John Collins says, when maybe a loan signing or that will come in.
See, January's hard for transfers as well, but when you look at us, but you look at us, we brought the 3 Japanese boys in last January, and then we brought the boys in this. We brought players in at the right times, and we've obviously got the ones Andrew wants. I think he likes to do his business in January.
I think it's like to help bed them in that well, shouldn't it?
Right, and that's it. But you're bringing players into a winning team, so it's not like they're bringing them in to make a difference and try and do something drastic in that first 6 months. It's bring them in, bed them in.
And it takes the pressure off them then as well, don't it, Welchie?
But I think there's an element as well, though, for the Japanese lads. I think their season is slightly different. So when it's the summer months, they're in their middle of their season. So that's why a lot of times I think they don't want them to come over. So as opposed to that's why they get a lot of them in the January. I think when it's their season is finished. So
being his targets, that's helped the whole scenario, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, big time.
Well, I mean, see the thing about it. I mean, we're talking about like players leaving, and just fans came in the way we spoke about the signings and how the business has been done in that. Would you actually panic if anybody left?
No. Do we want player mark, and that'll be Vickers for me. I know he could be replaced.
Listen, if Carter Vickers is well known in football circles. I mean, I couldn't believe it when he came to us. Yeah. No, when he came to us, I couldn't believe his age, because he's a name that I'd known knocking about the English football.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
He's come in. The Carter Vickers player of the season last year, and well deserved. if he was going to leave us, that was last. There's not a chance he's leaving this season. Not a chance.
I just
Not a
think
chance.
Vickers knows as
No,
well.
I don't mean this one day. I'm not talking about in January. I'm talking about even come the summer. Even really, if Carter Vickers went for 25 million, would be up? Oh man, that's a big loss to the team. But
No, I trust the process.
aye, that's
Exactly,
what I was going
yeah.
to say. Aye,
Yeah.
I'm confident that Ange will be like, oh well, we'll just go for him that we've been watching for the last. I think Ange already has got players in mind for if Carter Vickers goes in the summer.
Juranovic is a perfect
Juranovic.
example.
Exactly. Just going to say that Johnson.
We've no signed Johnson on a panic because
No,
of Juranovic. That's been planned and it's been that's the process.
Aye.
Well,
And it's the same. It's the same with the new centre forward. There's obviously the Giacomakis one has been going on for a while, and Postecoglou's aware of it. And he's gone right. This fella wants out. Get another fella, a similar fella in.
It was Mark Lyle, but that brought all to the attention of Ange.
You know, and when it comes to summer, who don't want to be banging like hell for Jota? It's bound to be.
Mm-hmm.
Aye.
But again, I mean, Jota's not even guaranteed the first start on their team because he interchanges their positions. So as much as a loss he'll be, there's other players.
But
I'm not
Celtic
saying he's
will.
going to go.
But it's just but what you're saying, that's what I'm saying. Well, even if Jota went in the summer, and I trust Ange and the team and Mark Will and that to come up with just the next Jota, the new Jota. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Do we trust Jordan Duhan to come up with the next Jota?
The damage we'll do to ourselves is it's like I know you put on the forum the other day about a Baddest contract and stuff like that. It's when we're losing these players for a pittance it's going to be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got them on the right contract, you get the right money for them, you reinvest and you move on. You keep going, and that's going to be us for the next, as long as Ange's involved. Definitely, that's going to be the process. I keep going forward.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one thing we can say is our transfer policy has been absolutely fantastic since he came in.
There's a structure within the team, like in there, there seems to be a structure between the whole club, like what Thames was saying there about Nicholson. Nixon knew he didn't have a football brain, and he's letting Ange look after the football sides and things. And otherwise, I don't think it would have worked between Ange and Peter Lawrence. We were actually lucky that Peter isn't the CEO anymore, Mark. Are we?
I think so. I do think so. I mean, we've gave him pelters, but I've always said you can't fault Peter Lawrence for the money he made us. He was he's well known as one of the hardest negotiators in Europe when it comes to transfer fees and stuff like that. But it was just when he stuck his nose in just too much, and that's when it went wrong for Peter Lawrence. Do you know what I mean? Even under the time when John Park was helping him, John Park was doing a good job, bought a few duds, but the majority of the time it was really good players. John Park was helping me identify. Once he went out the picture, that was when it all went a bit Pete Tong for me.
And I don't think for a minute Ange would have lasted with him anyway.
No, not at all. No chance. He wouldn't tolerate it. Postecoglu wouldn't tolerate someone like that.
And that's why you gain Michael Nicholson praise. The fact is,
exactly.
you've got to separate the two. You're in charge of the football. I'm in charge of the money.
Yeah. And in fairness, that's what I said earlier on, and that's what Postecoglu has said himself. He said, when I've needed transfers, when I've looked for transfers, Michael Nichols has done everything he can to help me to get the transfers in. And that's all you want.
I think a crunch time will come. You know, when you look at the players we've bought and the prices we've paid for them, it's when Ange turns in and says, see that boy there? He's a bit more than we normally pay, but he's the one I want. I think that's when there'll be see how we act then. I mean, I'm not talking about being unrealistic, but just a little bit more than what we normally pay.
Aye. This guy will take us to the next level.
The way Ange was talking, Mark, he wants to take Celtic to the next level,
and I keep saying it as well. Yeah. Celtic should be. See, right, what you're saying there, right? We're talking earlier on about Dembele, right? If we could get him back, but see, Celtic went out and said, I mean, we went out and spent £9 million on Edward, right? But see if Celtic went out and said, right, we're going to sign this guy. He's costing us 10 million, £12 million. He wants 60, 70 grand a week, but we're going to give him it. And do it, and just because people. We can't just keep holding myself back. At some point in time, we're going to have to roll the dice and take a bit of a gamble. Right? And just because one guy's getting 70 grand a week doesn't mean it's going to peel off everybody else in the dressing room. I never buy into that. I mean, these players are...
You sort your own when you come with somewhere, don't you?
Aye. And which every player at Man United was raging when Ronaldo came back. Do you know what I mean? Every player's raging when Pogba went back to Juventus because he gave me money. No, that's not how football works. It's because look, that guy's fucking worth it. That's how we're paying him that.
Yeah, Rebel's bringing to Dermark. He said Celtic need to kind of change
the
their
wage
wage structure.
I've said that for years. For years and years, I've said it's not the money, it's not the transfer fees and agent fees and that Celtic spend.
The wage,
That's what holds us back.
Well, you said it there, Mark, a while back, and it's a very valid point that if you look at, and I don't mean to use this terminology, but some of the deadwood that's there, guys that aren't ever going to get a game, and we had said this, that if you put together, say, McCarthy's wage, Iraguchi's wage, Oligard, and maybe one or two others, and all of a sudden you find out that their combined 4 or 5 guys are on 30 plus grand a week or 40 grand a week, for argument's sake. Then you're going like, but none of these guys are required. All of a sudden, you kind of have said, well, there's 30 or 40 grand that I could put towards a top class player, and then for another 15 or 20, and all of a sudden it's a 55,000 a week.
Aye, put your cutting up there, Terence, and then put that towards like the basic wage we deal
yeah.
for.
And just reduce the squad size. You don't have to have 50 guys or whatever it is in the squad. Do you know what I mean? There's only 11 guys can play at any one time. You know what I mean?
I think our squad size at the moment now, I think, is 26 or 27. I think he wants to trim it by 4. So I said those players that you've mentioned there, Terence, could be the ones going up the door, Mark. Gucci, McCarthy, Odegaard.
He's kind of come out and said, didn't it? It's up to them to find a club this month, and I think they will. But even if they're only going out on loan, we'll probably need to still pay a percentage of their wages. But long term, that's the thing about it. Celtic need to spend their wage bill wiser. I mean, is it still about £50 million? That was the last kind of time I'd paid any attention to our wage bill.
I think it's gone down since that, though. I think it's gone way down. Yeah, I think it's gone way down.
We should just spend our actual wage bill more wisely. And we could really, for me, I think we could really improve the team. Because a lot of clubs sell their, see like guys like Mark Lowell now that keep their kind of finger on the pulse of football. Even Angel, he'll know everything that's going on in world football. He's that type of guy, but he'll know that a player's he's at a club that's maybe struggling to pay his wages and that blah blah blah, and we could maybe get him for a steal. People, agents and that, this is the kind of work they do. So that's when they say, look, so and so wants X player after a wage bill. But they'll take £2 million of transfer fee, but he's wanting 50 or 60 grand a week.
We're also the type of club where these agents are going to be sneakily going, because we're a stepping stone in the Premiership. There's no doubt about it. They're going to be coming at us and going, look, see this boy here? You might only have him for a couple of years, but pay him that, and you'll make money off him.
Mm-hmm.
Aye, and that's the kind of thing that we should be doing, Welshie. I mean, we've said that even it was Joe. He saw Celtic as a better option as a stepping stone into the Premier League, and that's what Celtic must sell to these players. Look,
and that's the reason why we can't stand in Giakoumakis' way or Juranovic. And I know it's not to the promised land, so to speak, but it's them coming in, doing their bit and moving on.
Aye. I don't know what kind of money he'll be getting out there. If it's that great a pay rise, but even if he's out there getting a couple of grand extra a week, I don't know, it's Japan nearer Greece than it is England. Scotland.
Well, I was talking, there was a fella on the thing, he was actually talking about this diamond thing, Mark, and he was saying that they're not really a club that gives big wages either, so he was kind of surprised that he was going to go into this.
He might just want to be the main man, though.
Yeah, that's what I was going. That could be it.
Yeah. 28 years of age, I think, is he?
You're talking about a guy here who's been a top scorer for his last 2 teams, and he's thinking, why am I not playing every week?
Aye.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he's
you can understand
28,
that.
26, 27, 28, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you can totally understand that. It's like what I say with Scott Bain. Why Scott Bain just quite happy to plod along being the number 3 keeper at Celtic?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Whereas they're big Gio, right? Fair dues. Maybe this team said, look, you come out here, we're number one striker, we'll pay you. Maybe even it's only an extra couple of grand or what Celtic are giving him, but he's giving him that chance. And well, I don't know whether the stuff he's free.
You can't knock a player for wanting to play every week.
No, you can't. Well, I've said that for years. See if players aren't playing, I want them to be unhappy. See if it comes out, oh, so-and-so's unhappy, he's not playing at Celtic. Good. If you're not playing, I want you to be unhappy, but you need to start playing better to get into the team.
Aye. The trouble with Giakoumakis is you didn't
instead
do
of resting in your laurels.
Giakoumakis didn't do much wrong. That's the difference, isn't it?
I think he deserved more game time. I really do, but I mean, I wish him all the best, but he's just another one of the players that's come in for a wee while and went away.
I think as well, I mentioned it earlier before about how Ange, good or bad, he'll stick by Kyogo. But he must know that Kyogo's a longer term investment than Giakoumakis anyway. You know,
I don't. See, I've said this on the phone, I've said in the podcast. For me, Kyogo's here. As long as Ange's here and the only place Kyogo, again, like Ange, it's got to be a life-changing thing, like Barcelona coming in from a Real Madrid, which, let's face it, is not going to happen. So for me, Kyogo's going to be here, and then he'll maybe go back to Japan in 2 years' time, because he's, 28 now or something like that. So he's not like young. Mm-hmm. So I think that's where it is. As long as Ange's, Kyogo's going to be here.
I think so. I think maybe the market it could be for all the kind of Japanese and South Korean players. Like they could kind of be loyalty to Ange.
I think Hatate.
That's a given.
Who Hatate?
No, that's a given. I'd say what Paul has said, because listen, would any of them be at Celtic if Postecoglou wasn't the manager? No.
No.
None of them would be there because with the greatest respect, I wouldn't have ever heard of any of them. I didn't obviously.
Do you know something, Terence, as well? You know, the Japanese boys and the Far Eastern boys. Ange's raised a profile of these boys that are coming and doing well. But you looked at even the English player, that Matomo who scored for Brighton, they did $2.5 million. You know, there's some players over there. And I think that's going to open the scouting network's just going to go. I'm getting out there soon.
It is because it was as you said, and that's what it has opened up. Because you heard everyone, like for argument's sake, the centre forward Celtic signed. There was apparently the crowd from across the city were apparently interested in him as well, and all this nonsense. Then this team was interested in him. That team was interested in him. Like it's obviously he played in the World Cup, so he was noticed. But these guys wouldn't have been known at all because, again, there was, I said it before, there's a level of snobbery. I think we don't look at players in Japan or down here or in these lower areas. We'd always look in Germany or Holland or the better. We wouldn't, or France. We don't look at players in Japan, and all of a sudden there's 3 or 4 real quality players coming through. There's that lad who played with AZ Alkmaar. I don't know. I think he'd moved now. He was a right back the time we played Celtic, and he was dynamite. Mm-hmm. And and all of a sudden, like you're saying,
there as well today. Terence Stern, he was they fell got the winning goal there against Liverpool. He was very good as well.
Yeah, and Arsenal have a lad as well, don't they? There's a lad playing with Arsenal as well, I think. Yeah. So all of a sudden, the profile is slowly but surely been getting higher and higher and higher and higher. And it's like what she said. It's been opened up, and now people are taking notice of it. Like because you're getting serious bargains. Like what Tate was 1.3 million or something like that. Some crazy figure like that.
The benefits are look at Awata. He was the player of the season. We've got him for $1 million.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's crazy.
I think we'll struggle to keep a hold of Hatate.
I mean, you wouldn't begrudge him either, would you?
No.
And that's what the whole point of the conversation we were having. See, if Hatate says for the end of this season, even we get another season out of him, he's a 20-30 million pound player all day long. He's 23-year-old.
The more I see him, it reminds me so much of Petrov. That's who keeps me in mind. Just that type of player.
Do we have a player
he can score? He can do everything.
Here's a question for you, right? Tierney was 22 million, I think, is it? Do we have
25?
Yeah, 25. So do we have a player in this squad that's going to go over the 30 mark, do you think?
It's all relative for me, Paul. It's you buy a player for £1 million, you can't be standing there saying I want 50-60 million for him just because he's got to England. I mean, I know that's right, but that's the reality of how things are. You know, you get £20 million for a player in Scotland. You've done well.
You're 20.
Yeah.
You've done 20 times your money, like, you know.
it's-
That's the way of looking at it, like.
Eventually you will, Paul, because inflation is such. You know what I mean? In 10 years' time, Celtic will maybe get £50 million for a player. But
the difference is
I'll be. On you go, Welshie.
I mean, like Hattati's a perfect example. He's 23-year-old, 24, 25 at the peak of his game. Then he's going to be a 30-40 million pound player. Whether we get that for him or not, it's a different kettle of fish. But if he progresses the way he's been progressing, then he's definitely in that ballpark.
You might find it. I'm not comparing him like with like, but you might find it like a Van Dijk style thing where Celtic might get, say, for argument's sake, 20 million for Hatate or 18 million for Hatate, 20, and they sell on. And then Hatate goes and he's unbelievable and he goes to someone even bigger and they sell him for 50 million or 60 million. That's where Celtic might get the extra money, like the Van Dijk when he went from Southampton to Liverpool for 75 million.
The problem we got, Terence, is like Arsenal, premium club, bought Tierney. It's like Van Dijk went to Southampton. They wanted to go somewhere and improve themselves.
Aye. Tierney's only one that didn't.
You've only got to look at that Casido, who's playing for Brighton at the minute, signed for something like $1 million, and all this signed 60 million. But because he proved himself with one of the lower clubs before the big boys go, oh, we want you.
But that's what I was saying, though.
That. Unless you're going direct to the big clubs, then they want that stepping stone, don't they?
But that's what I'm saying, though, Welchie, is like the problem is a lot of it is there's a snobbery there. Like most of the top clubs in England didn't think Van Dijk would have, because he was playing with Celtic. Oh, he's not worth X or Y, Z million. And it's only when he has one season with Southampton, they're all going, oh, this fellow's unbelievable because he's played a season in the Premier League. He's worth 75 million. That's where the problem is, like.
That's what scouts for England used to say, that Van Dijk was a lazy player. That was the kind of put-off kind of thing. He was lazy, but as it just showed, it didn't need to actually put yourself 100% into the Scottish game to just kind of cruise it. But
Welshie was 22 at the time, wasn't he?
But Welshie?
He was only 21, 22 at the time.
Aye.
Yeah.
But see what you're saying about that, Welshie, that's bang on. They look at Scotland and say, oh, he's a good player, but would they be good enough for the top level? Let him go to your Southamptons and see how he does there and all that. I think at some point, Arsenal done it with Tierney, but I think at some point the bigger teams are going to say, well, wait a minute, they've got a good record, and even if we go 20 million for him, what's 20 million to Chelsea or Man United or anybody like that? It's nothing. And eventually they kind of, if you keep producing players, if you keep producing players at that kind of level, you can ask for more money kind of constantly. Do you know what I mean? You've got a track record. It's like Ajax and stuff like that. They've got this kind of track record. They're doing it.
Now look at Benfica. Look at the money they turn over.
Aye.
Yeah.
You should that's Ajax as well, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? They keep producing these players. You know?
Aye.
You know,
it's like Ajax.
Could you think so, Mark? Is that the way? Like we were talking about Ange being involved in everything at Celtic and so could you see Celtic actually going down there with that we eventually start producing these youngsters as well and we sell them on? Because at the moment we're buying these youngsters, but I think is that long term that with the B team there?
I would like to think so, Paul. I mean, see, really, it's a kind of dream. Celtic fans, we're all kind of a bit romantic about the team, isn't we? You know what I'm talking about? You know what I mean? How we'd love it to play and how we'd love the team to be set up. But eventually, I mean, we're saying eventually, but let's face it, how many products of our Celtic Academy are in the team now? We've got Ralston, we've got McGregor, we've got Forrest. I mean, right fair dues, Forrest maybe a wee bit over the hill now, but he's been a long time at Celtic. McGregor's here.
Maybe Welsh in the squad, I suppose.
Welsh, aye, but then we've got Boss and Lowell coming through. He's getting a place in the squad now. So Celtic, they kind of get some players through the academy. It's not as bad as a lot of people make out, in my opinion.
No, I think, Mark, if you can see when you've got through every 3 years from the academy, which is good, like, do you know what I mean?
Aye, if you've got one player every year, Paul, aye, really. Yeah. I mean, they're captain the day, but was it 400 games? Yeah. 400 games. Captains came through the club, so that worked. Do you know what I mean? That what we just get rid of him now because that's him. He's come through the academy. Do you know what I mean? So fans, they keep going on, oh, but we should bring more out the academy. But we always bring players out that other teams want, whether it's lower league teams lower level teams and players go and have a good career. We've lost players to young players to Liverpool. We've lost young players to Bayern Munich. So we're producing these players. It's getting them into the actual team. And the ideal scenario is, Paul, that you're producing players like, see the level of maybe Greg Taylor, right? If he came through our youth system, although it cost pennies, but if he came through our youth system, he was playing the way he was, and even, I don't see, even Johnson, guys like that, if you're producing players to that level through your youth system, you can spend more on the players that make you that better quality team.
Well,
Because you're not spending on kind of...
In a way, Mark, as well, like you can say that we are producing youngsters because you look at the age bracket we're buying players. Abada is young, Alistair Johnston's young, Iwata is young, Kobayashi's young. So we're going to be producing these players to the next level. So
the youth system is flawed in this country. That's the problem.
Yeah.
There's not enough. Look at Vata, right? Vata looks like he's almost ready, but he's too good. He's too good for the team he's playing in just now. But he's not quite there for us yet. And they got lost in that. They got lost in that gap there.
That's the problem. Yeah, that's why there needs to be a proper resolve league there, in Scotland. You know,
but there's been that gap in Scottish football, Paul, for
years.
As long as I can remember. I mean, I can remember Scotland was the under-16s getting to the World Cup final.
I remember that.
And the only two players that you ever heard of after that was Paul Dickov and Christian Daly.
Jesus, man.
But that has been the major problem with Scottish football for donkey's years.
That's the Scottish FA's problem, Denmark, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
They lost something between that under kind of, it used to be, we called it under 21s years ago, but they lost something between like that under 21s and the step up to the main team. There's million, we could, 4 years, but they knew could rhyme off a wiener players.
Someone needed dinner. I can hear a nice
Welchie.
off a place or something.
Oh, that's me.
I think you're sitting eating your dinner on the.
Aye, brought me a lasagna through. It's lovely.
I could hear the knife. I was like, "What's that?"
I thought he was opening a bottle. I thought he was opening another bottle.
That's already open.
But as well too, Mark, is the one thing you've ever noticed as well when in any of the other sides when Celtic are playing any of the other teams in the SPL, you always hear, "Oh, so and so he came through. He was at the Celtic. He was at the Celtic academy. They released him, or he was at the Rangers academy, or this fella." They like the majority. There's so many of the players in Scotland have come through one or the other academies, and they just haven't made it. Like,
McIntyre, is it Mark? Is it the fella? Is it McIntyre? That's with St. Johnston. His dad sure was the head of the youth academy. Do you know what I mean? You know,
Jim McIntyre's boy.
Yeah, you think he'd at least get some chance at Celtic, like, but he didn't.
When you think about it, we're signing all these young boys and stuff for that. So why would St Mirren and St Johnston and all these players no take out young players who are no getting the game? It's the right thing to do.
Makes sense.
So many.
Look at Andy Robertson.
Okay.
And we let him go, but he was too wee or something like that meant to be. You know, way down to Queen's Park.
Was it too small, they said, or something like that, Mark, at the time, weren't they? You know?
And people used to say that about KT as well when he was younger. People used to say that KT was, I think that was one of the kind of things the English teams were scouting him in that as well. He's too wee, too kind of skinny and that, and then he bulked up and went full on Scott Brown.
That was under Neil Lennon. Lennon wanted these players to be being physical, like, didn't he?
Well, it was Ronnie.
It was Ronnie.
Ronnie was it?
Lennon wasn't doing the game.
If Lennon was still there,
he was gone. He was gone. Yeah, himself and Callum Mack were still. They were gone.
Aye.
I was thinking of Dembele. Remember, Lennon instructed him, Mark, to do weights.
The young guy.
Yeah.
Where is he now?
Fresh.
Some over in France, second tier, I think.
Is he playing or what? Well,
I don't know,
He gets the game on it. He's a sub. He's usually a sub most of the time.
See, but that's the thing. I mean, there's this wiener young players. It's like Chelsea. Meant how many young players Chelsea who had out on loan the other year. It's only like 90 odd young players
across the globe. Yeah.
So they're just pure rolling the dice on the hope that one of the guys is going to end up one day being worth £100 million or something like that.
If you're looking there,
like Jabber, mate. Like, message you later, bud.
If you're in the academy, is Jabber on? Is he?
He's just in the live chat there saying he's away.
Right. Like
Who's
if you
that?
see,
Big Jabber.
The
You
big
know-
new was here.
like if you're a young lad now, Mark, and you're in that Chelsea academy and you're seeing the amount of money they spend, you'd be mad to go as a young player to any top team in England. You're not going to guess. I think so.
Money,
That's why
but
Celtic
Paul,
are in. But yeah, it's true too, Mark.
It really, it's money. I mean, see, honestly, if you might, even if you were like, look, you come home and say to your mum and dad, "Nah, you're 18-year-old off. Chelsea want to sign me and that," but I'm never going to get in there. But they're giving me 40 grand a week for the next 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Your dad's like that. That's signed. Your big money's going up, son. Do you know what I mean? But that's the kind of money Chelsea give young players.
It's
30,
ridiculous.
40 grand a week.
No wonder they don't know how to control themselves.
Aye.
You know what I mean?
They're all
You
driving about Lamborghinis and that, 18, 19-year-old and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to sign. It's very hard then, Paul, to sign a guy after that, because if you're signing a guy who's 18, 19 or 20 and he's already on 40 or 50 grand or whatever is at Chelsea, and you're looking to sign him and you're willing to offer him 25 grand a week, he's going to get 50 grand here a week, 40 grand a week here.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
I need to be getting 60 grand off you, even though they mightn't kick the ball at the Premier League level. You know, it's
Half
crazy.
of them
Like,
already made it. That's the problem.
oh yeah, they do. Yeah, that is a huge problem with it. Like,
That's it. Well, as soon as you get that kind of money to buy fancy motors and fancy stuff in that, I mean, the perfect example is that Jesse Lingard.
Oh, come on.
That boy is an absolute banger.
The only one
Sausage.
reason Mark he went to Nottingham Forest was money. They were offering the most money that time.
An absolute sausage, yeah, boy, man. All these players, even Paul Pogba.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Paul Pogba was a cracking player when he was younger. Got a bit boheed at Alex Ferguson, boot him at Man United. But I couldn't, see, apart from playing with France, I couldn't tell you the last time I seen Paul Pogba playing a good game of football.
Never played a good game at Manchester United, Mark.
No. It's made to do with all these social media stuff and being fucking famous and Instagram likes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I've said it for years. See if I was Celtic manager, see until you've made 25 first team appearances, you're not allowed to spend 10 grand in a motor, and you need to wear plain black boots on the pitch. You're not allowed a stupid haircut or tattoos. That's what I would do.
Well, it is like it's discipline.
No,
Mark. It's
you know what I mean. Well,
Yeah.
you know what I'm getting at. But it's a bit
Standards,
maybe
Mark,
a
do you
bit
know what I mean?
It may be a bit much, but you know what I mean? Welsh, instead of having all these wee fandangos that cost their own 30 grand a week, but they just swagger in, think they're a man, training and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Make them work for it. Get Tommy Burns, or a video of Tommy Burns brushing the stands at Celtic Park. A wee ginger guy when he's about 17-year-old brushing up the rubbish in the stands at Celtic Park.
But that was the process of your reserve teams and your first teams, wasn't it?
Aye,
Yeah, but they don't even do that things anymore, Mark. So they don't even clean the boots anymore in the academy. So they don't even do that anymore. So they don't clean the boots.
Even BJP McBride, he was Decano's boot boy.
YTS is on 30 quid a week.
Aye, but I mean, don't get us wrong, Decano spoiled JP with stuff and that. Decano used to give JP money out his wallet, and BJP used to have to run up and down London Road and see all the flags and scarves with Decano's face on it. He'd to buy them.
Jesus.
That was it. that was DJP's job. And a Saturday before the game, he'd to buy all the Daft Decano merchandise and stuff like that. But Decano gave JP a backhander, but the BJP was still there polishing his boots and making sure all his gear was sorted and stuff like that.
Those are the days, like what the imagine that's the youngster to clean your books. Now you'd be up in court for harassment.
Aye, I probably have got a new pair of boots every game these days.
True.
But what you're saying there, Paul, can you imagine that? Turn around and saying to like Boss and Love, like, do you know what I mean? Turn around and saying Boss and Love, like, why go and polish your boots for us? Go back. Rudy Vat, saying to Rudy Vat, boy, here, go and run out there and buy all the flags my face is on. What's going on here?
Fuck off. Fuck off. Two guys, is this a prank? Where's the camera?
Aye.
You know, is it on social media? You know,
just totally changed days with it all. Don't get us wrong, if I had a son or that, I'd love him to be. Do you know what I mean? any of your kids, you know what I mean? You'd love them to be kind of involved, even at that, good enough to even get involved in that kind of life. These clubs are just throwing money at them willy-nilly just to sign when they're 15 and 16 kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, it's life-changing money. Can you imagine getting 40 grand, 30 grand a week when you're 18-year-old?
Ridiculous, boy. It's ridiculous. Really is. Like,
you're sitting in a house that your mum and dad both didn't cost that kind of. Do you know what I mean?
Mark's national service, you're a tough guy, Mark.
Black boots, number one haircut, nothing else but a number one haircut. None of this highlighting shit or nothing. No tattoos, black boots. You're only allowed to drive a Mark II Ford Fiesta.
Jesus Christ, I'd be fucked. I'd be gone. I'd be booting out the door if I played under you. I said, but Jesus Christ. I'd be turning up the train with a cigarette in my hand trying to hide it from me like I'm in school or something. Jesus Christ. You know?
But just kind of grounding them. It's like a kind of way Alex Ferguson used to do with like Beckham and like the Playboy kind of people. He kept them in check, and I think that is one of the big problems in football today, is that these young players just get so young, and it doesn't give them a kind of. Maybe they lose their hunger, maybe because they've got a bank.
They're more interested in their kind of social media life now than they are in football. Do you know what I mean? That seems to be the problem with youngsters these days. You know.
It's more about like image and getting sponsorships and stuff like that, isn't it?
It's like one of the boys said there. They think they've made it when they're getting paid 40 grand a week, 50 grand a week. They think they've made it. You know, it's hard to argue the point.
As Terence, it's like a wee man coming home to you in 10 years' time and saying to you, "Oh, Dad, I'm offered to play football for so and so. Would you let him sign for Rangers for 40 grand a week?"
Behave.
Well,
behave, will you?
Well, what about you? Would you sign for Rangers for 50 grand a week?
Mention his camera.
Big moonhead. Put your camera off, mate.
How did I get that fucking thing off? Hold on.
You're scaring the dog.
There we go.
Standing on his the laptop is standing on a stick.
Lasagna doing his chin and everything.
It was lasagna.
Not even wiping his face or nothing coming on.
Mopped the plate. That was lovely.
But as you said, Terence, it's hard to turn down. You wouldn't advise your son, your nephew, or anybody to turn it down. But when you're looking at it from the point of view as a fan, it's something that kind of bothers me, that you get so much kind of so young and then end up nowhere. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's you're not. There's, I suppose, you don't get the level of appreciation of what it means to get to that level. I mean, as you said, the Tommy Burns one, lads years ago would have had to, suppose, as the term is, earn their crust. You get a young boy, even in, you know, as you said, Paul said there, you were saying 90 guys out on loan from Chelsea. You know, they're getting colossal money, like, and you know, do they really appreciate and understand it? And I said it's very hard for those guys then to go, I get paid 50 grand a week. I'm used to getting paid 50 grand a week with Chelsea, so I should always be on 50 grand a week. I don't know. And they're 18 or 19, and like Paul said, they're never going to kick a ball for Chelsea, like, more than likely.
There are 2 weeks there. Listen, the clubs let them do as well. You know, you got these boys that are built up on a pedestal at 18, 19, think they've made it. All of a sudden they're on the scrap heap.
Honestly, right, this is not against the guy because he managed 100 that. See, one of the worst ones for that was Steven Gerrard. See Ed One, the Liverpool Ed, he knows his family and he's known them for all their life in that. And see the way that Steven Gerrard was put on a pedestal with Liverpool, if he was any age, it was ridiculous. See, when he was like 12-year-old, you weren't allowed to. You weren't allowed to take a photo of Steven Gerrard when he was at Liverpool when he was 13. Do you get what I mean? his full. It was just so fucking weird the way that he was treated with Liverpool, because they were always scared that some big team was going to come in and take him away. Well, we know what happened when Chelsea came in. We know the fucking gangster stuff and that came out. But Steven Gerrard was so mollycoddled at Liverpool, nobody could disagree with it. See, as he got older and he got into the team, his opinion, we're talking about, who's rustling? See, we're talking about like Cal McGregor's influence in the team. Steven Gerrard, no matter who was captain or any, Steven Gerrard was the alpha male in that living room changing room, because the club just wrapped him up in his bubble. That whatever Steven Gerrard said, it was just that was it.
Jeez. I say we let it there for
Chris
tonight.
Corman shagged his wife.
What did he say?
I said, and then Chris Corman shagged his wife.
Jesus Christ, lads, we let it there.
Oh, Annie, he's not your daddy. That was a fight in the club, wasn't it?
Jesus Christ, man. Right. We let it there for tonight, lads. Thanks, Karen, Richie, for coming out tonight. Thanks to Foxy for coming on tonight with his good input on Ange and Callum McGrath. Mark, we close the show before we get in trouble and we're taking off air.
With the Liverpool gangsters. Thanks very much, Paul Cairns, Welshie. Thanks very much for coming on again, bud. Foxy, brilliant, mate. 100%. You're welcome on here anytime. Just I'll say, put the link out in future and people can just click that and come on. It's so easy, isn't it? Welshie and Cairns, just to click it.
Yeah, that's
you
it.
know what I mean? So thanks again. Appreciate all the support. Love yous all. If you remember, hit the like button. Hail, hail, good night, and God bless.
Hail, hail, boys. Good night.
All right, boys.